Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to get you styled up with Stitch Fix. Shopping's hard. It's hard. With Stitch Fix, you get a stylist, though, who understands your style, your size, your budget, and they do all the shopping for you.
Wow.
This is excellent. Shopping, I'm telling you, shopping and figure out your style, it's overwhelming. Let somebody help you when it comes to getting dressed. We don't know what we're doing, so we let Stitch Fix help us out. A Stitch Fix stylist there. They know what works on us. We get the prices that make us look really good, and it feels good. You get some confidence boost walking around knowing that you're looking decent here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we just give the stylist our sizes, style, budget preferences. We order boxes when we want, how we want, no subscription or any of that required. And they send called Just For Me pieces as well. Like, maybe you'd like this, and it's awesome. Outfit recommendations, styling tips. You keep what you love, you send back the rest. It's super easy.
Yep.
You can do it, and we are doing it because it's excellent. Personal styling for everyone. Get started today at stitchfix.com/STM. That's stitchfix.com/STM.
Now back to the show.
Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show and tell you about Noom. Has Noom helped you? I believe it has.
Oh, that's got an app. You can do tracking. It's terrific.
It does. And Noom builds personal plans that can meet individual needs. That's the thing. Takes into account any dietary restrictions, medical issues, other personal needs. That helps build a plan that works for you. And yes, so I know that you've had your own personalized program here that you've been working on. And
it's weight loss This is weight loss results that last. They stick around because you get yourself into a lifestyle change. That's what matters.
That's mainly it. You can't just say, I'm going to cut that out for a month and then go back to it. That's not what it is. So I'm glad it's helping you. That's great. And it really does. I like the psychology and biology-based approach here. Yeah. Noom Weight uses psychology. That's why they say losing weight starts with your brain, but it also takes into account your unique biological factors, Jimmy. All of your multitude flora and fauna that goes on inside of you there.
Sure. Yeah.
Stay focused on what's important to you with Noom's psychology and biology-based approach. Sign up for your trial today at Noom.com, Noom.com here. Based on 3.5-year study of actively engaged Noom users with minimum starting BMI of 25. Individual results may vary. Visit our website for more information.
Thumbtack presents the ins and outs of caring for your home. Out, procrastination, putting it off, kicking the can down the road. In, plans and guides that make it easy to get home projects done. Out, carpet in the bathroom. Like, why? In, knowing what to do, when to do it, and who to hire. Start caring for your home with confidence. Download Thumbtack today.
This week, in Moose Lake, Minnesota, a scary sight is captured on camera showing a young woman being abducted, but things only get worse with the horrors uncovered at a local property that may or may not belong to a serial killer. Welcome to Small Town Murder. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Small Town Murder.
Yay!
Oh, yay indeed, Jimmy, yay indeed. My name is James Pietragallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I am Jimmie Whisman.
Thank you, folks, so much for joining us this week. We are excited, as usual, for more murder and mayhem. This episode this week, my God, is it crazy. It's one of those, like if you take a tree out of the ground, there's a tree on top of the ground, but you don't know where those roots go. And that's what this case is like for me.
Iceberg be damned.
There's the initial case, and then there's, oh man, what is under there? And then it gets really gross, and there's all sorts of stuff in there.
Yeah.
It's bad stuff, but quickly, thank you again for joining us. And first of all, thank you for your reviews this week. They help a lot. So whatever platform you're listening on, if you gave a review or if you're planning on it, thank you very much for that. Head over to up and givememurder.com right now. For this weekend, we are, if you're listening to this right when it comes out, we're in San Diego. That's sold out. Right. But the Brea Improv, still a few tickets left at the Brea Improv.
They're so minimal. So you better get them.
Clean them up and sell that bad boy out, and we'll have a good time. And also that in December, that first Seattle show, there's a Thursday show and a Friday show. That Thursday show, still some tickets left for that. Yeah. Otherwise, everything's sold out until, I think, like March. There's a show with some tickets left. So you got to get in on that, everybody. Also, you can get all your merch there and everything like that.
Yes.
Patreon.com/crime and sports. This week is amazing. You get anybody at or above the $5 level. You get access to all of the episodes for both shows, everything like that. We put it out. You're going to get it. Whole back catalog. You name it. This week's episodes are awesome. The crime and sports episode, I don't think I've ever heard Jimmie laugh as much for a continuous hour as I did this day. He was struggling
got a good one.
He was struggling for breath. It's about the flagship international sports television network, which doesn't exist because it was a sting operation to get wanted felons to win free football tickets so they would show up there, and they busted a bunch of murderers and rapists at the same time, and it was pretty awesome.
So funny.
It is hilarious, so definitely check that out. And then for Small Town Murder, we can't tell you all the little different things that were in there that are just hilarious, but Small Town Murders, it's so good.
Funny.
It's so good. And then for Small Town Murders, we're going to do a new recurring one that's a lot of fun. We are going to do the Crappy Real Estate Report.
Terrific.
Where we discuss terrible properties in small towns, all the dregs of our real estate reports, except all new. None of the ones we've already talked about, obviously. So do that, patreon.com/crime and sports. And, of course, you'll get a shout-out because we want to show our appreciation for who you are and what you've done for us. So Jimmie will mispronounce your name to denote that appreciation. Or you can just make a donation at PayPal using our email address, crimeandsports@gmail.com, and Jimmie will still say hello to you poorly.
Of course.
So, that said, disclaimer time. This is a comedy show. It's a comedy podcast. Yes, there will be murder. Yes, it will be horrible. Otherwise, this show wouldn't be called Small Town Murder. But it's not what you think it is. It's not two guys sitting around going, "Oh, my guy, I cut her head off. That's hilarious." That's not what we're doing here. This isn't.
It's not that bad.
No, this isn't drive time radio. We're not doing any of that crap. This is. We're trying to be a little bit tasteful here about the whole thing. There's a lot to make fun of around a murder. The idea that you can get away with doing something like that
ridiculous
is a ridiculous thought. The idea that, this is a good idea, that's nuts. That's crazy. But what we do and what we do go out of our way to do, we try not to make fun of the victim or the victim's family.
Why?
Because we're assholes.
Yeah,
but we're not scumbags. See, that's how that works. So
a good deal for me.
That sounds good to you. We are going to tell you a wild story. If you think true crime and comedy should never, ever, 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 never go together, maybe we're not for you, but maybe we are. But if we're not, we warned you, so don't complain later. That said, Jimmie, let us sit back from the lungs and shout, "Shut up!
Shut up! And give me murder!"
Let's do this. Let's go on a trip, Jimmie, shall we?
Okay.
Let us go. We're coming from the South. We were in Alabama last week.
We were.
That was an interesting one there. This week, we're going all the way up to Minnesota. Couldn't be more different than Alabama, and it really couldn't be. So going to Minnesota here, we always have fun in Minnesota, whether in real life
I love the place.
or on the show. It's always a good time. Even in the winter, it was fun.
It's beautiful, too, in the winter.
Let's not go crazy. It's cold.
No.
It's frosty.
I mean, the view.
It's something.
Things coming in my eyes were beautiful. It was a nice place to look at. It hurts.
It hurts. It's painful.
It sincerely stings.
It does.
How fucking cold it is there.
Well, we are going to Moose Lake, Minnesota.
All right.
Which sounds made up. That sounds like it's like a movie,
It's a cartoon.
It's in Moose Lake. Yeah, okay. Like a Hallmark Christmas movie or something.
Minnesota, or if the setting is Alaska or Minnesota and they say Moose Lake, let's swing for a second place.
It'd be like
somebody else pick somewhere, because that guy's got bad ideas.
One of those Hallmark movies would be like, Merry from Moose Lake or something. Merry Christmas from Moose Lake.
Yeah.
It'd be some bullshit like that. So some random blonde woman starring in it that, runs a curio shop and makes like a shitload of money and lives in a mansion. So,
and her name is Merry Christmas.
Oh yeah, that's her name. Obviously, Merry Christmas. That's the thing. Merry Christmas is the name of the time from Moose Lake, and she's from Moose Lake, and she's giving you it all works, Jimmy.
It's beautiful.
The sad part is if we pitched this, they'd probably fucking make
They'd buy it.
They'd buy it. We have like an agent. We could do this. We could pitch this to the Hallmark Channel. It'd be the weirdest thing. People looking on our IMDb's, they'd be like, "What? They made a Hallmark Christmas movie, and this is weird."
Dick jokes and the producers of this shit.
So this is in eastern Minnesota, kind of right on the border of Wisconsin there. It's about an hour 45 to Minneapolis, down south. It's north of Minneapolis. About 40 minutes over to Duluth if you want to have a real good time.
Yeah.
Obviously.
It's a trading company.
Oh, baby. And then 2 hours and 15 minutes to Ely, Minnesota, which was or Ely, it actually was, if I remember correct. Ely, Minnesota, which was episode 211, our last one back in February with the frozen blood puddles, which was a crazy-ass story. So this one, no blood puddles, but something even worse. It's in Carleton County, area code 218. It's about 3.5 square miles. There's some water here, too. It's Moose Lake. So there's lakes everywhere around this area. It's
Minnesota.
It's the land of 10,000 lakes. And
is it only 10,000?
That's on the license plate. I don't know. But I feel like about...
It should just be... Yeah,
I feel about
giant lake.
It's all it is. About 2,500 of them are right in this area, it seems like. So the motto here is they actually have a motto, and it's a ballsy motto, by the way, for a town in northern Minnesota. Quote, "A city for all seasons."
Oh, you bastards.
That's not...
Except one.
Let's not go correct. Except three. Let's be honest. Except three. It's,
spring's still brisk.
There's a good they have maybe a 60-day window where things are, you can do things.
Really cooking, and there's fucking flies and all kinds of bugs.
It's rough. And then, the second motto, I think, really sums it up. Quote, "Holy shit, that wind is cold." That's a very basic one.
The amount of times said that.
Holy shit, that wind is cold, isn't it? You could say it many different ways.
Close the window. Can you smoke outside, James? That window is killing me.
Holy shit, that wind is cold. You can go with, holy shit, that wind is cold. I mean, there's a lot of different ways.
You can really emphasize any word in that sentence, and it makes sense.
I'm not even kidding you. Holy shit, that wind is cold. Even the holy, you can do anything. Holy shit, that wind is cold. It works for anything. That wind is cold. Every single word.
Every word makes sense.
So, history of this town. Apparently there was a big fire in this area. They had like a California level wildfire in Minnesota at one point, which just seems so weird because you just don't hear about that very often. It might happen.
It seems like it's certainly possible because every lake there is surrounded by enormous trees.
But they're all soaking wet.
Right.
It's like
It's a lake right there. You can just grab a bucket and put that shit out.
Remember 4th of July trying to start the fire at my house just with wood that was outside in the humidity?
Yeah.
It's like you really had to put some effort into it.
Had to use ether.
Yeah, a flicked cigarette was definitely not going to do it, considering we had to use industrial level propellants to get this fucking thing going.
I think it was an ether-soaked like a ball. What was that?
It was like a
ether-soaked wicker ball or something.
Yeah, some weird fire starter that Sarah has for her pizza ovens. So
it was like somebody took apart Grandma's old chair and just made a ball out of it and dunked it in ether.
Soaked it in the most flammable stuff possible, and then said, "Here you go." So on October 10th, 1918, two men working near a railroad siding northwest of Cloquet saw a passenger train pass by and soon after saw fire burning through grass and wood piles. Couldn't contain it. 2 days later, it's still burning.
Holy shit.
Spreading throughout northern Minnesota. Just everything's on fire. It's a lot of fires. It's called the Cloquet fire, but it was really like more than 50 fires that were going on, that it spread all over the place. Moose Lake had its own big fire. That's why we're talking about it, obviously. So it was a lot. It was crazy. At least 5 fires combined was the Moose Lake fire. They all came together. It's crazy. It's all over the place. The blaze neared Moose Lake about 7:30, and some people, they had to take people out in trains to rescue them. So most survived, and a lot of the people who got left behind just went in the lake. They just went in the lake. It was Moosehead Lake. That was the camp.
By then, it's a spa.
Can't burn if I'm in the water. I mean, literally, that's what it was. That was the only place to go. So, the police officer in Cloquet was quoted in the New York Times as saying, at 6 o'clock last night, a forest ranger gave warning that unless the wind died down, the townspeople would have to flee. That's
the most horrifying thought in the world.
Good God, unless the wind dies down. Well, nothing you can do about that. The scene at the station was indescribable. There came a rush of wind, and the entire town was in flames. The trains pulled out with the fires blazing closely behind them. It's fucking scary. Women wept and clung to their children, while others cried fanatically for their missing ones. The flames licked the cars. Windows in the coaches were broken by the heat. The engineers and firemen alternately stoked to give the boilers all the fuel they could stand. Holy shit.
Why is the writer of this so turned on?
He is into everything.
He's got to take it easy. This is tragedy, sir.
He's into it, though.
Stop rubbing that.
I'm telling you. So in Moose Lake, they ended up seeing 75 bodies piled in a burned building. 75 people died in one road leading out of Moose Lake. They said, quote, 100 bodies were strewn here and there, the New York Times said. So people were just overtaken by the flames as they tried to run. That's how fast it came on from the winds.
Right.
They literally, I mean, they almost overtook the trains that were pulling out. The windows were popping. The Duluth Country Club and Children's Home were both completely burned down. All sorts of hotels were burned down. And pretty much Moose Lake was completely destroyed. It was just
fascinating,
burned to the goddamn ground. And so the surrounding cities were... This is like kind of how the area was deforested. It just got burned, all burned. Right. So also in Moose Lake, one of Minnesota's sex offender programs, 2 facilities in the whole state one's in Moose Lake. So that's what they got.
I thought you were going to say that burned down. There was a silver lining to this.
Nobody got out. They just locked the doors and ran away. Fire coming, lock them up. So yeah, that's what they have. I have reviews of this town. Yeah. Here's a 4-star review, and these sound like you could make a Hallmark movie out of it here. Quote, I like the small-town community of Moose Lake. I like the variety of small shops and small-town treasures, such as the old movie theater, brewery, and coffee shop.
Yeah.
It's a Hallmark movie set. That's ridiculous. Here's a 4-star. I've lived in Moose Lake, a neighboring town, for many years. The people are always super friendly. There are many different community events that take place during the summer. I would like to see the city council to be more lenient on letting new businesses move in.
Yeah, me too.
They're not, here's a 3-star. Quote, there are some good small-town jobs, but nothing that really draws in people and offers them a truly competitive wage. That seems about right. Here's 3 stars. The town I live in is almost entirely mom and pop shops that make some good homemade food. It's lacking some quality shopping venues, but it accomplishes most of what you need on a day-to-day basis. So, small town, there's stuff there. It's not that rural. Has some outlying things, people with their cabins and all that sort of thing.
It's very Minnesota, it sounds like, with the home-cooked food, gravy on everything. There's a good soup.
You got good soup. Yeah, I can see a good soup.
Boy, do I love a good soup.
Yeah, good. Oh, who the fuck doesn't? Soup is amazing. Soup's amazing.
It's brilliant.
It's the best thing ever.
Soak something in broth of either a beef or a chicken.
My grandmother,
a cow.
Italian grandma, makes this soup that if you're sick, if she hears anybody sick, she just starts making soup. It just pops. Yeah. She doesn't even think about it, I don't think. It's just an automatic function at this point. And this shit is magic. I've been deathly ill and eating this soup, and it's just magic. It just fixes you. So you have to find an old Italian lady and have her make you soup. You can live forever. It's got something in it, Jimmy. I don't know what the hell's in it, but I'm not gonna start up any conspiracies about grandma's soup, but it's magic. Let's just say that. So, population of Moose Lake 2,790. It's not that many, less than 3,000, up 25% since the year 2000. So it's been growing. This is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. I've never seen more off male-female population. I don't know why. It's not like it's all lumberjacks that live here or something. Okay. Like, that would make sense if it was just a lumberjack camp, the whole town. It's 71% male.
Oh, wow.
28% female. That is
what Minnesota is, right? It's
50-50. Right? Yeah. That is that's not even a safe ratio. That's an unsafe ratio. Like, that's not good.
Yeah, you're right.
If there, you know what I'm saying? Think about that.
Yeah,
there's a bar
dangerous.
and there's 14 men and 6 women, I'm fearing for those 6 women. That's too many men and not enough women to mellow the scene out.
And as a little guy, I fear for the little guys in there.
Yeah, they're in trouble too. Yeah, that's going to be, it's Thunderdome, wherever that is. So median age here is 47, which is about 10 years older than the national average. Not a lot of kids here at all, but a lot of people over the age of 85, and a lot of people that are 25 to 34. So it's a weirdest demographics I've ever seen in this town.
And it's not like a hunting town?
No, that's what I mean. Everybody's got a hunting cabin, but it's not like a only hunting town. Married population here is only 27%, which is like half the ratio, and almost, by the way, the exact percentage of females that are in the town as well.
It's because there's not enough women to marry.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's crazy. Divorce rate is double.
Oh.
Yeah, I guess because there's options. Women are like, I'm going to marry fucking Bill or Bob. I don't know. There's a lot of guys. Move along.
Apparently you haven't heard, Ted.
Yeah.
There's 70% of you around here, so fuck off.
You know what it takes to get me? I'm in demand.
Yeah.
7-3 here. So the single with no children, though, is only 4%. So that is low. It's not a party town, I don't think, here. No. Well, like I said, it'd be a dangerous party town. Race of this town, it's about 76% white, which is less than you'd expect, honestly, for a small town in the middle of Minnesota here. 9% black, which is more black people than I expect here. 0.1% Asian, which is really low considering Minneapolis is a real hub of Asian people. There's a lot of Asian people there. And only 3.5% Hispanic, too. So, 46% of the people here are religious. It's all Lutherans. Let's be realistic. Lutherans are the Catholics of the frozen tundra. Baptists of the frozen tundra. 0.0% Jewish. Here, last election, pretty damn split down the middle in this place here. 49.6% Democrat, 48.1% Republican.
That's very interesting.
It is down the middle, 2.4% Independent. I think the only a couple we've had pretty close like that, but Fishkill was one like that. There's a couple that were very close like that, but usually it's one way or the other in the smaller towns. So unemployment rate here is about average, a little bit lower than the average, but not much. But the household income is lower than the average.
Really?
Yeah, and usually it's $57,000 in the rest of the country. Here it is $37,000.
No.
That's kind of low. And 25% of the jobs are healthcare related, which is real. It's like more than double what it usually is. Very strange.
In Minnesota, they make a lot of money in that state, too. There's a lot of very wealthy people there.
Yeah, like in Minneapolis especially, there's a lot. So in cost of living, 100 is average. Here it's about 84. The housing's kind of low. It's about 66, the housing.
That's nice.
Yeah, median home cost here is $188,500, which is
very affordable.
Pretty goddamn low compared to the rest of the country. And if we've convinced you to grab a cabin and a rifle and head on out looking for some deer, we have for you the Moose Lake, Minnesota Real Estate Report. Your average 2-bedroom rental here goes for about $924, which is kind of in line. I found a 14-acre lot here.
Fuck yeah.
It's on a lake. So it backs up to a lake.
Everything's on a
lake.
Everything's within walking distance of one.
But there's no, it's just trees and the lake. So you gotta, I mean, there's about 2 feet of shore before the trees start.
You better have some skills.
You better get a chainsaw going because it's going to be a lot of work. $99,000 though for that. $99,900 for 14 acres.
14 acres?
Yeah, on a lake. I mean, if you had the money, that'd be a nice place just to go fishing or hang out or something.
Yeah.
You know, it's not bad, but $100,000's expensive for a weekend house, I guess, if you're working. So here's one in Sturgeon Lake, which is right nearby, is the name of the place. It's a 1-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,440 square foot house. 1 bedroom and 1,400 square feet. You could have stuck another one in there. And 2 baths. I assume a master bath and a hall bath.
And a grand room.
It's scary. It looks like an animal has been chewing on the counter. Like it's all like chewed up the edges of the counter. Like deer just wandered through and gnawed on it. Or like a rooting buck was just putting his antlers on it. 99
Salt Lick?
Yeah, 1.6 acres. $99,900 though. Same price as the other one.
How many acres?
1.6.
Not worth
bad.
it.
Take
14.
That's what I mean. I'll just sit in the woods. I don't need that shitty house. Here's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,661 square foot house.
Okay.
Nice little family house. Nice average size, good house. It's nice. Some questionable carpeting from here to there where you'd want to rip that out, but definitely livable. You wouldn't have to, burn anything or have a exorcism in there or anything. $199,900 for that, which
that's great.
Compared to the rest of the country, that's pretty goddamn good. So not bad at all. Things to do. I found, I didn't expect this, Jimmy.
There's things.
Advertised as Minnesota's biggest rock show.
Oh,
fuck yeah.
Wait a minute.
You can see the look on my face.
Damn it.
You saw
this is not good.
You saw it. I couldn't do it.
Everything from quartz to rubies. Come on down.
Agates and rocks galore is what it says.
God damn it.
Agates and rocks galore at Minnesota's biggest rock show.
Do not expect ZZ Top and Metallica.
No. There's no rock here.
God damn it.
Held July 13th and 14th at the high school gym and parking lot. Woo! Rock on. Yeah. Metal.
Somebody has shown up like hot chicks and like cut jeans and big hair, and they're like, fucking, let's do it.
Yeah. What the fuck? Free
Dude's
entry.
Showing up trying to slang mushrooms. And like, nope, not us.
Not here. No acid here.
We've got pyrite.
Dealers with agates, minerals, jewelry, fossils, and equipment are going to be there. Free entry. Rough rock tailgaters in parking lot. I don't know what that means. You can sit on rocks and hang out. Field trip info in gym. Free door prizes. The Agate Stampede starts at 2 p.m.
What the fuck is that?
That's a free search for agates and quarters. Spread on Elm Street. Great family fun.
Oh, my God.
An agate, by the way, is an ornamental stone consisting of a hard variety of, what the fuck is that? Chalcedony? Typically banded in appearance. It's one of those smooth rocks that looks like it's, got a lot of layers. You know what
it's not, James? Journey.
It's
Who
not.
gives a shit?
No. Iron red agates are the oldest collectibles you can find in Minnesota if you know where and when to look. Gems among gravel, agates, and glacial tumbled layers of chalcedony, I don't know what that is, formed within pockets of hardened lava 1 billion years ago.
This is the worst festival ever.
You can find both raw agates and polished specimens during agate days.
God damn it. I'm so mad.
The Agate Stampede, if you're familiar with treasure hunts and straw piles at county fairs, are we? I didn't know that was a thing.
No.
The Agate Stampede has a new twist to that idea. 2 dump trucks roll down Elm Street. I swear to God, that's the sense. 2 dump trucks rolled down Elm Street through Moose Lake, spilling mixed loads of agates, gravel, and quarters. What the fuck? That's who's cleaning that up once it's all done?
God damn it, I'm so mad.
Oh, man. And it says...
Can you imagine your buddy gets you together and says, we're going to the biggest rock show in fucking Minnesota?
I just did that. Yeah, I do know what that's like. I know the look that you get.
I'd kill you.
It's the look you just gave me when I did that to you.
I'd fucking kill you.
You looked at me like, you bastard.
As soon as a fucking 310C rolls down the road spilling rocks all over, I'm going to strangle you.
Kids, here come the dump trucks out in the street, everybody. Pick up quarters and rocks off the street out of the dump truck.
This is a weird way for Godsmack to show up. What the fuck is that in that dump truck?
It's a dump truck. It's not going to be cleaned. There's like used condoms falling out of there, too. Kids, watch out for those. So crime rate, what we're interested in this town, not just people being upset about agate days not being what they want it to be. Property crime, it's about 20% high.
Really?
Which you wouldn't expect in a small town like this until you understand that it's 70% guys. And then you go, well, yeah, they're going to be doing shit like that. Then you have violent crime, murder, rape, robbery, and assault, the Mount Rushmore of crime. Also a little bit high. It's about the same amount high. So, yeah, I mean, that's probably guys fighting each other over agates. I don't know.
Yeah. People frustrated that the rock show still is not a rock show.
Johnny got a polished one.
Somebody thought the mayor was just playing a joke on us this year. Next year, somebody's showing up again with the fucking rock.
Damn it! The mayor giggles. It's just the town's own dad joke that they play every year. All the kids show up. Kids, come one, come all, the biggest rock show in Minnesota.
Can you change it to gravel show at least? This is bullshit.
Oh man! So that said, let's talk about a murder.
Oh, yes.
Let's talk about something much less silly and much more dark than children on their hands and knees searching through gravel and quarters.
What a nightmare.
What a nightmare. So this murder, speaking of a nightmare, we need to go back in time, not very far. We've been a lot in the 70s and 80s lately.
Yeah.
This time, May 26th, 1999. So
all right.
Going back not too far. And
I think I graduated high school that night.
That night? Well, there you go. Yeah. You had a better night than somebody we're going to talk about here because this is a horrific thing here that happened that night. And it just, like I said, it's just roots under a tree when you go from there. This is at the DJ's Expressway Mart at it's a little convenience store.
It's enough words in that.
Yeah,
have to put Mart on it, right?
DJ's. I think I might have added the Mart. I think it was DJ's Expressway, and it didn't want it to sound like it was like a slot car racing facility, so I put like Mart on the end of it. I believe. Yeah. Okay. So that might have been me. So it's a small little mini Mart type deal. You can stop in and get milk if you forgot it or some shit like that. Get gas.
It's a Minnesota Wawa.
That's all. Minnesota Wawa or a Minnesota bodega, whatever your form of reference is. So it's about 11:38 at night when this happens. So it's a late night shift. By the way, do you know who Israel Keys is, Jimmy? You ever heard of him?
I do. Why do I know that name?
Because he's a serial killer. So.
Oh, okay.
That's probably why. And we do this show. So.
Right. I do know who that is.
Yeah. By the way, all of his interrogations are on YouTube for Israel Keys. What an asshole. You just want to punch him in the throat. Before you even find out what he did, you want to punch him in the throat. And then you're
like. What state was he in?
Oh, my, Alaska. Fuck, all over the place. Vermont. He killed women everywhere. He carved this girl up and put her in a lake, and the dive team had to dig through 3 feet of ice to dive to get her out. It was
my God,
horrific. He kept her chained up in a shed for weeks, even after she died. And then he tried to. This is not way off the topic of this show, but Israel Keys. After the poor woman was dead for 2 weeks, he tried to take pictures of her to pretend she was still alive to get ransomed for a ransom note.
2 weeks later.
So he spent 2 days putting makeup on her and shit and like putting fishing line in her through her skin to like lift it so it looked like so you couldn't see it. He did like a whole thing to get this picture. He's a disgusting person. We should talk about him on a bonus or something, but an awful person. So anyway,
why did he come up?
He came up because of this, because he did.
Okay.
It's the
why are you making my stomach turn, James?
It's the exact same scenario as what's going on here. Is the girl in Alaska that he abducted here. So this is May 26, 1999, like we said. Kathleen. I don't never know how to say. I think it's Kathleen. Or is it? Yeah, Kathleen.
Spell it.
Kathlyn. And I've heard it pronounced, and it still screws me up. So I think
Catherine with a Y.
Yeah,
like that. So it could be Kathleen.
She goes by Katie either way.
Okay.
So Katie Poyer is her name. Poirier. It's pronounced Poyer, from what I understand. So she's working there at the store all alone. She's 19 years old. She goes to community college. We'll talk about her. She is working alone, like we said, working like the late night shift here.
Yeah.
This store, DJ's Expressway, it's located near I-35 on kind of the outskirts of Moose Lake. So at 11:38 p.m., a man is seen rushing into frame. It's very poor resolution, 1999 surveillance camera type shit. Now, That was the ones where they used to rewind the tapes and just tape over them so that
it ruins the tape by the time you need it.
By the time you need it, you can't see anything. It just looks like fuzz on there because they've done it 700,000 times. So it's a very poor resolution. So you couldn't really see much. All you could see was a man who was about 5'11", 170 pounds. One thing you could see was he's wearing a New York Yankees shirt. So you could see the Yankee logo with number 23 on the back. He's a Don Mattingly fan. I am offended. No, when you hear what this guy does, I am so offended by this, number one. Don Mattingly fans should be nicer people. You know, this is, I love Don Mattingly. This is ridiculous.
If you commit a crime, take that Elway jersey off, please. Don't make me sit through that.
In the name of Don Mattingly, you pick up a Monster Energy drink and get the fuck out of the store and leave this young girl alone. Because I'm angry right now at you. So he ends up, it's a white male, by the way. He ends up, the videotape shows him walking in, and then it shows two people emerging from the back of the store. He's behind the girl with his hand on the back of her neck, walking her in front of him with his hand on the back of her neck out of the store. So that's what we see, which, like in the Israel Keys, it's almost the exact same thing. It was a little coffee shop late at night. Young girl working there, young lady working, and he abducted her the exact same way, walked her out.
It's got video of him coming in and going out.
Oh, yeah, they have the Israel Keys, the same thing, grainy, shitty surveillance footage, but you see it. That one's even weirder because Israel Keys came back like 3 times to the store later on that night. He's a fucking asshole. Anyway, so that's Katie Poyer is the girl that's been taken here. She's 19 years old. She's from the town of Barnum. Our family lived by Little Hanging Horn Lake. She's, from all I can gather from her, a really smart, really nice, really pretty, really good kid, from what it seems like from everybody. That's just not because she's been abducted from a convenience store. I'm saying that. She really does seem nice, and her family seems nice. It seems like just nice people. She was runner-up in the 1997 Ms. Barnum contest.
Good Lord.
Yeah, very pretty. Everybody knows who she is.
Back-to-back weeks with this shit,
Back-to-back weeks with runners-up of contests.
Fuck.
This is, that wasn't one was college, but this is different. But good for her. She just finished her first year at Fond du Lac Community College in Carleton, and she wanted to go into some form of law enforcement. Apparently. Awesome. She loved The Profiler on NBC, the show.
Who doesn't love that shit?
Yeah, this was in the 90s, too, when this was all kind of new. Now, I mean, we had Mindhunter, we've had there's a million books. It's
saturated.
It's out there, but this was a different story. Like, back then, there wasn't that many people. There was a core group of people who were like true crime beyond, or crime stories beyond Law and Order. They wanted to know, like, the psychological, and basically our audience.
Yeah,
there was that audience existed back then too. They were just dying for any
niche.
Dying for any little piece of what they could get. So she wanted to. She liked that sort of thing, and she wanted to go into law enforcement based on that. So that's her plan. And she was like a water skier. She's a Packers fan, which is interesting considering. She's in a country
Enemy's
that's not
territory.
Enemy country.
That's not good.
And she had 2 nice golden retrievers that she liked. That there's a picture. She looks, she's a happy kid with her golden retrievers, Goldie and Riley, her 2 dogs. So you can't she's the nicest kid, and there'd be no reason that she would even be mentioned on this show unless she was taken from a convenience store. That's essentially how it goes. She meets a young man that she ends up hooking up with here, a Mark Johnson Jr.
Yep.
Junior right away. No, we know that from Crime and Sports. That's not good. They get engaged recently. They've been engaged recently. And Mark and Katie moved in together as well.
Really?
Yeah, they both go to the community college. And they're both intending, I guess, to start out with, they want to be state conservation officers or game wardens.
Yeah.
They're looking into that sort of thing.
We found that those people have a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, we really did. We found out a lot about that from that. I think it was one of the Minnesota episodes.
I think so, too. Was it Red Wing?
I don't remember which one, but yeah, like the game wardens taking over the homicide investigation.
It's crazy.
We're like, oh, listen, this isn't a poached elk here. Let's calm down.
I don't need to count the squirrel pelts in this house.
No. So they were both planning on doing that. They wanted to maybe do it in like Montana or Wyoming, somewhere nice like that after they were married and graduated school and everything. But obviously she's been taken at 11:38. On May 26th, this is the same day, after midnight passed, so now we're into the 27th, a passerby called police to report that no one's in the store. And that's odd. The lights are on, doors open. So the officers arrived. They found the store open and empty, which is obviously no one leaves merchandise and cash registers out for the world to take. So they go in. They, I guess, get a hold of the owner. They check the videotape, and they see what happened at 11:40. Yikes. So it's within an hour, though, they've seen what happened, at least. So that's helpful, anyway. A lot of these cases, no one knows they're gone till the next day, and, so maybe you could get on the trail of something. So the 911 call, by the way, they're in the videotape. They can't tell from the graininess exactly how he's holding her, if it's just by the neck. They said it appears that there might be he might have a cord tied around her neck or something.
Oh, Jesus.
And he's got his hand in the back holding the cord and pushing her with that. So
like a leash, like a lead.
Exactly, but tightly.
Real tight, yeah.
Tightly bound. So, and she's small too. Like she's not a physical force. She's not like,
you don't need that.
No, it seems like really cruel. So right away, obviously, they're searching everything. There's her checkbook is there. Her car keys are left behind. Clearly, this is not
what they were taking. The other stuff is all They took the prize tonight.
That's it. And this is the car keys, everything, and the way they're looking at it. Because at first they didn't know. Same thing with Israel Keys. They didn't know if she left on her own. She's a 19-year-old girl. Maybe she ran away. We don't know. Yeah. Maybe she's hanging out with some guy, and the guy came and they left together, and now they took off, and she didn't want to tell anybody because who knows? And that's not police who, when they start investigating something like this, they have to think about that as a possibility when you're talking about a 19-year-old.
The whole gone girl thing.
Yeah. Unless you see somebody beating her and dragging her out by her hair unconscious, like Ray Rice or something. Yeah. You have to say, is it voluntary or not? You don't want to, have all points, everybody on deck here calling the National Guard, and then she's hanging out with some guy in an apartment in Duluth.
That is brutal about being a cop. You do have to consider that, and it feels shitty because if it's not the thing, you've wasted time on that. But look, man, that's just the reality of this world. People are dishonest.
It happens, and like that Israel Keys one in Alaska, they really thought that girl just disappeared on her own for a long time. For a while, they were like, we think it's voluntary. So
that's awful.
Here, they didn't know until they saw the tape, and even then, they didn't really know till somebody said, he might have a cord on her neck, man. That's not voluntary. Yeah. Like, even in the graininess of the tape, you could see that this is not a voluntary. They're not like arm in arm, hey, let's start our new life now. This is bad. So cops are looking for a plan to how they're going to find him. They have a witness to somebody who saw something here. They end up, part of the investigation, they interview a Catherine Hannock, who on the night of the abduction, she was working at the Subway sandwich store, which is right by the DJ's Expressway, and they're connected by an internal door. So you can get from one to the other if you, like an adjoining hotel room.
Mall. Yeah.
And so the Hannock lady, she told the police that shortly before she closed up the store at 10 o'clock, which is an hour and 40 minutes before the abduction, she saw a man in and around the Subway store who she thought was behaving strangely and looked like he was kind of casing the joint or something. She got uncomfortable. After closing, she drove home toward downtown Moose Lake, and coincidentally, she said she was behind this guy who was leaving the convenience store property at that time. Okay. So we think that whoever this was, they think maybe if that's the guy, he was casing the place and looking for a victim here. She noted that the guy was driving a black Ford F-150 extended cab pickup. It's got white markings on the side and a license plate that reads, she got some of the license plate, which is impressive, 557, that she got that part, and then the last letter is Y. But she couldn't get.
Wow.
Yeah, she couldn't get the numbers in between that. But that's a good start.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
with it not being like I thought you were going to say it was something personal. You know what I mean? Like,
no.
I murder or some shit.
Freako
like
Fark. That's an old episode from Arkansas reference here.
But like to get just a generic ass plate that's sent out by
that's impressive.
Department of Transportation, that's pretty impressive. Yeah.
And this is she couldn't have put her phone up and clicked it quick. This is 99, no. So right. It's not even like she had a picture.
Your phone was a piece of shit back then.
Oh yeah, your phone barely worked. Yeah. You had to go stand on top of a hill to fucking do anything back then.
You had a snake game, and that's it.
Hey, everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you about the safest sponsor ever, Simply Safe. Absolutely. These people will keep you safe. It's amazing. You know that every 26 seconds a burglary takes place in the United States, according to the FBI. That means that by the time this podcast is over, dozens and dozens of homes will have been targeted, ransacked. God knows what happens here. So protect your home before it's too late with Simply Safe proactive security system. Simply Safe helps stop threats before they even have a chance to break in. Named Best Home Security System by U.S. News and World Report 5 years in a row. And by us for about the last 8 years as well. If you trust us, believe me, you want Simply Safe. So visit simplysafe.com/small to claim 50% off a new system with professional monitoring plan and your first month free. That's simplysafe.com/small. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Now back to the show.
This show, Small Town Murder, is brought to you by BetterHelp. Get yourself some therapy, everybody. Honestly, here. We often hear about, red flags that you should avoid. Hey, that's a lot of a thing. It's become a real phrase now, real cliche. Yeah. But why don't you focus also, you look at like green flags in friends and partners. Look for good things as well. Right. And maybe you're not sure what that looks like, though. Therapy can help you figure that out. What are positive things? What are the green flags? And then you can practice them in your relationship. It's absolutely a fact. And so, honestly, we absolutely are huge advocates for this. It really, really helps. BetterHelp is fully online, making therapy affordable. It's convenient. They serve over 5 million people worldwide. You can access a diverse network of more than 30,000 credentialed therapists, wide ranges of specialties there. Here's the coolest part. You're not getting along with your therapist, you're just not feeling it, you can switch at any time, no extra charge.
Wow.
The thing is, they want you to get help. That's it. And you can do it with BetterHelp. Discover your relationship green flags with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/smalltownmurder today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
Hey, everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show and tell you all sorts of good stuff about Chime. That's what I'm talking about. There's so many extra fees you have to pay in life. Everything. You go to the airline, there's an extra ticket on that. There's extra fee on every fees and fees, hotels, fees, all this type of stuff. We're trying to make progress, and the next thing you know, here comes another fee coming at you, and it's more money than you expected, and your whole math is thrown off, and it's awful. Learn more at chime.com/smalltownmurder. Chime is great with that stuff. I mean, you can't beat if your things are a little tight, especially around the holidays or after the holidays. Yeah. You need that money a couple days early, or you go grocery shopping. You got a car payment due. There's so many things that don't cross over exactly how you want them to cross over. Make progress toward a better financial future with Chime. Open your account in 2 minutes at chime.com/smalltownmurder. That's chime.com/smalltownmurder. Feels like progress. Banking services and debit cards provided by Bancorp Bank N.A. or Stride Bank N.A., members FDIC. Spot me eligibility requirements and overdraft limits apply. Boosts are available to eligible Chime members enrolled in Spot Me and are subject to monthly limits. Timing depends on submission of payment file. Fees apply at out-of-network ATMs.
And now back to the show.
So she said the pickup truck weaved a number of times as well after entering Moose Lake, the town proper, I guess. It pulled into the parking lot of a local cafe, and that's the last she saw the truck. She also said that when she left work, Katie's vehicle was still at the expressway mark, so which we know because she didn't get taken until 11:38. It's on time stamped on the tape. So at 2:30 a.m., they notify the Poyer family that their daughter is missing. And these people are fuck, this is the family you want. this is the family you want. These people are pretty awesome. They jump into action and immediately come there to the place. Her boyfriend came over, Johnson Jr. came over at 2 a.m., and they said, where the hell is Katie? She's supposed to be with you. I thought she gets off at 1:30, and he was like, well, she didn't come, so I figured she was here. And they're like, oh, this isn't good. So they end up shooting down there at 2:30 a.m. They left Mankato, and by 6 a.m. the family was there.
There and searching.
Searching, too. They were on the scene.
By now she's got a fucking 6.5 hour head start. That's so horrifying.
That's the problem. So the police are looking for a man who appears to be because it's a grainy footage, so you really can't tell any facial features or anything like that. They say appears to be in his 20s, but you can't see the face. They said possibly a weathered complexion, maybe. So either 20s and weathered or older, one of the two.
Yeah, right.
Out of that.
20s or older, or 65.
We don't know exactly. Don Mattingly fan we're looking at here. So he's got to be
at least alive today.
Got to be born late 70s at the latest. Right. That's how it's going to work. It's not someone who's 14. So he's got a square jaw, they said, curly hair, which is dirty blonde or strawberry blonde. They couldn't decide. Okay. He's wearing a dark New York Yankees jersey, like a blue one of the dark, kind of the shit fake ones, with 23 on the back. So Don Mattingly. And they think he's driving a black extended cab pickup. Possibly that's what they put out. If you know anybody that fits that, great. So they make a composite sketch from 4 witness statements. And they broadcast that on local TV and the newspapers, everything like that. I'll post I love sketches for some reason. They're fascinating.
Sketches are great.
So I'll post the sketch on our social media. They break out tracking dogs, helicopters. They start right away. I mean, from the convenience store out, they find nothing.
Yeah. Can't
find shit. Posters, more of them go into newspapers. They put up billboards. I mean, by 2 days later, there's billboards up. Where the fuck is Katie?
Wow.
Where is Katie? Turns into a very high-profile missing persons case because the family's making it that way because they want to find their goddamn daughter, which is what you want your family to do if you go missing.
Sure.
You know, if you see somebody kidnap me, please look for me, like hard.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly in danger. I'd like that. Yeah. Thank you.
Don't mind your business.
Don't mind your business if you see me being kidnapped. If I just left on my own, I took off. Yeah. Leave me alone.
Give me a little bit.
Give me a minute here. But otherwise, I'm clearly kidnapped. So even a local facility for sex offenders, they checked into that. Remember I said Moose Lake has its own. Right. They checked into that. You missing anybody? And they said, nope, everyone's accounted for.
Do a body count real quick.
Yeah, they literally did that. All the perverts are in their cages. Okay, good. And then they left.
All the guys that like to do weird shit, you got them all?
You got them all. You got all the sex perverts in one place. Good. Excellent. So it's at this point that within 2 days, Governor Jesse the Body Ventura...
so weird.
Governor Jesse the Body.
It's been 22 years and it's still fucking weird.
When I read that, I got such a giggle at 3 o'clock in the morning. Governor Jesse the Body Ventura activates the National Guard, which that sentence just sounds hilarious. That's a Mad Lib. Governor Jesse the Body Ventura, okay, activates the National Guard. Sure.
With a bizarre phone call with his insane voice as a governor.
Get out there and find her. And then and if you're the Poyer family, don't worry, honey. Jesse the Body Ventura's on it. It's fine. I think I've seen Predator. He was still shooting the gun even with a missing arm. I feel like he could pull this off. If anyone can do it, he can.
He's pulled pulled the National Guard off of finding out if those lights in the north are from aliens to look for you. Don't worry.
I had them doing recon on living off the grid. And then I called them back in to look for Katie. That's how I do it.
I had them pulled off of trying to figure out best ways for a man to shave in the woods with a piece of wood.
I already knew that. I was a Navy SEAL. Obviously, I shave in the wood with woods. Clearly.
I went to the biggest rock show in Minnesota and found the best rock to shave with.
It's the agates, Jimmy. That's the thing you don't understand. Because you're not a Minnesota native. That's the problem, Jimmy. If you were from the great land of 10,000 lakes, you'd know to shave with an agate.
That guy was a fucking governor.
He's entertaining as shit, though. I'll give him that.
He really is.
He's like, he's harmless. Like, he's not trying to, like, you know what I mean? He's like, he's saying crazy shit, and he's just by himself, like, in a fucking self-contained, like, giant plastic bottle that collects rainwater in Mexico somewhere, where he's like, I'm off the grid now. They can't find me.
Thinking of crazy shit so that he can make a name for himself. You've already made a name for yourself, Jesse. It's all right. It's already done.
9/11 was because of explosive paint. That's his 9/11 theory, by the way. It was explosive paint in the building. Because there'd been painting recently, and they were using explosive paint.
Plastic explosive put into some fucking bear.
Yeah, which is a thing, but I don't know if they have it on that scale to paint the entire, you know, like...
That's a shitload of paint,
a lot of paint to be painting the whole inside of that place. So, obviously, everybody is very, very, very worried. The Poyer, the mother here, Katie's mother, Pam, she said this is the ultimate fear a parent has when their child is born. Everybody can feel for us because they all have grandchildren or nieces or daughters. It's only been, and then the father, this has been after a week, he says, it's only been one day, hasn't it? It seems like one big long day. These people aren't sleeping. They're not sleeping well. They're not getting any rest. They've probably slept 4 hours since she disappeared in a week, you know?
I already feel awful.
This is crazy. So it's just ridiculous. They even say the Poyers showed no ill will toward her abductor, but they pleaded with him to release her unharmed. Yeah. We don't hate you.
At that point, you can't.
That's how fucking nice these people are.
You can't say awful things in the media about somebody that took your baby, because what if that baby's still alive? You know what I mean?
Let that shit happen. What do you think I would be saying, Jimmy?
Yeah, I'd be holding your mouth. Yeah. Don't say anything, James. They're going to hurt her more. Don't do it.
I'll tell you what.
Me on your back, and you're trying to shake me with fucking microphones in your face. Get off me. Shut up, James. Don't say it.
That's what I mean.
I want to see Madison again. Stop it.
And I'm Italian. If you kidnap my daughter, you better hope the police get you before me and all of my cousins end up with you and my brothers. And
they're going out to a steak dinner to prepare for your murder because they take the steak knives with them.
That's the truth. We know that, as we talked about.
30 men leaving a steak restaurant with the fucking silverware to open you,
and with more of a desire to find you than the police might have as well.
Right, because they get accommodations and a $500 bonus. These guys get street cred.
These guys get the joy of doing this, of filleting a kidnapper. So... yeah, they're these poor people. The mom, Pam is her name. She says, I know there is some goodness deep down inside him, and if he would just let it come out and let her go. He doesn't even have to call us. He can call anybody and just tell us where she is. Yeah. These poor people, man. They're just, obviously.
They're beautiful.
They're just human. I mean, it's fucking sad. So the search widens. They have a $25,000 reward. The National Guard is out. There is teams of people sweeping fields with bloodhounds. I mean, it is a full-on search. This is wild. June 6th comes along. It's been 10 days, and they found not a trace of anything. Wow. With a full-on National Guard effort with the bloodhounds and everything, they find nothing. So on June 6th, 1999, they call off the search for now until they get some leads. God. They need leads. They have no leads.
Yeah. You spend that kind of money every day for nothing.
It's just people are exhausting and they're not getting anywhere. And they even put it out on America's Most Wanted that quickly. Yeah. They got it on America's Most Wanted to try to get some leads, and they said they generated nothing of any significance lead-wise.
Wow, really?
Nothing, and just couldn't come up with anything. So, yeah, and they said the one article here, it says, search called off, national exposure yields few leads. There's nothing here.
There's nothing more exciting than John Walsh telling you something happened a week ago near you, and my face is always glued. What's
going on now?
Like, do I know him? Do I know him?
Yeah. Who is it? Is it Johnny? I know that son of a bitch is an asshole. So they call it all off at this point. Volunteers, though, including members of the Poyer family, are continuing organizing. They start at the Moose Lake Church. They have like a what'd you call it? Like a
vigil?
No. They have a control center. Almost.
Oh, shit.
Like
headquarters.
Headquarters. There you go. Yeah. I don't know why I couldn't think of that word, but headquarters is what they're doing here for the search. They get in there. They have maps with X's and things, and I mean, this is an operation. They're not giving up at all here, and it's crazy because this guy just walks in and takes on camera. It's ballsy. Yeah. This is a ballsy. It really is. It's a really fucking ballsy thing. So, yeah, like I said, maps on the wall, X's indicating the areas they searched and covered, and, all sorts of different denotations on the map saying, we've talked to people here. They get Paul Molitor involved.
What?
It's what I'm like, Paul Molitor's involved in this. If you don't know who Paul Molitor is, if you're not a sports fan, Paul Molitor is a Hall of Fame baseball player who played for the Brewers and then for the Twins, too, when they won the World Series and all that.
Did he play for the Blue Jays, too?
Yeah, Blue Jays, too. Yeah. Paul, he was a great player. He was a Hall of Famer, for Christ's sake, and he's from the Minneapolis area, and he's a local legend. So to keep the interest high, they turn to Paul Molitor, and they get him to...
He's wearing a baseball jersey. Is there anybody in baseball around here?
I mean, yeah, maybe can Don Mattingly plead for him to get... That's what I would say. Can we get Don Mattingly to plead to give him back? I know you're a fan of mine, sir.
Please don't wear my jersey and do dumb shit.
Please don't do that. But no, Paul Molitor makes a public service announcement and asks, please help find this this girl. So there's a guy... Paul Molitor gets the attention of somebody here. Wild. John Walsh couldn't do it. Jesse Ventura and the National Guard can't do it, but Paul Molitor will get your attention.
He'll get you a base hit when it counts, and this shit.
A double to the gap and this. So the guy named Darryl Brown, he works at the Minnesota Veterans Home. Okay? He starts thinking about this shit. He's like, hold on a second here. This all sounds a little bit weird. So... on June 18th, he called I'm sorry, not June 18th. June 18th. June 18th, I'm sorry. June 18th, he calls the tip line, which they have a tip line set up, to report that his coworker, Donald Hutchinson, who had recently stopped driving his black Ford F-150 pickup truck.
Yeah.
And he resembled in, size and general manner of movement and shit, the composite sketch that was made. The video and the composite sketch. He matches both of them. And this guy said that this Donald Hutchinson didn't show up for work the day following the abduction and also cut his hair like 2 days later. Like his haircut was different.
Won't shut up about the Yankees draft class.
He's like, nobody can play first like that. I don't give a fuck. We can't replace Mattingly. It's been 3 years. It's 99. It's been 3 years, and I'm sorry. Tino Martinez, he's all right, but he's not cutting it. He's just not Donnie Baseball.
Thank God for this guy having that kind of awareness of his surroundings.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you what my fucking coworkers drive.
He stopped driving his car. He cut his hair. Like he called in sick that day. Who notices when someone calls in sick?
This is a month later. How do you realize that?
This is a petty motherfucker.
He had to do this motherfucker's extra work, and he was pissed all day about it.
He's a petty son of a bitch. So he goes, now he's driving a different car. Oh, look at him all fancy. Look at him fancy now. All right.
He got a new car and still has haircut money, this motherfucker.
Still got supercut.
Taking days off.
Still got supercut money, Donnie, do you? All right. I got to see you. I see you. So he said that also a few days later, he suddenly quit his job as the janitor without giving any notice. He just quit.
The janitor can quit, buy a new car, and have haircut money?
Hell no.
Red flags. Red flags.
Police, call Jesse the Body Ventura. I need to tell him something. So they look into it, and they find out this Hutchinson fella, his name isn't even Hutchinson. He had been giving a false name to his employer here. Wow. His real name is actually Donald Blum, B-L-O-M. And Donald Michael Blum, and later on it's Donald Albin Blum for some reason, A-L-B-I-N. They now say, okay, they look into him and they say the truck is his. He has a truck like that. it matching all the suspect license plate numbers.
Yeah.
This could be at least the guy who was seen driving away from there an hour and a half earlier. Let's see if he comes to the door with a Don Mattingly jersey on, and then we might have something here. So they look into the whole thing and check it all out. Among the truck drivers they checked out was Donald Blum, registered pickup truck. Like I said, the numbers matched. But they said when they got there, the truck in his driveway was white, not black.
Okay.
Interesting. His wife, Amy Blum, by the way, Blum is her name, not his.
Oh.
He's got a completely different name. His real name is Pince, Pincs.
This guy's a weirdo already.
He's got a lot of names, and when he got married recently, he changed his name and took his wife's name of Blum and dropped the Pince, and had been working under Hutchinson. And we find out he's got at least 15 other aliases that he's going by as well.
People don't do that as normal folks.
Not normally, no.
Yeah.
His wife, Amy, said that they'd gotten rid of that truck that had that license plate sometime before. So this is a different truck, the white one. He also owned property 12 miles from the Moose Lake convenience store where Katie was taken. So they dig into a little bit more, and they find out, our friend Donald Blum also has convictions for multiple sex offenses.
Oh, my.
Multiple. Specifically for abducting petite young girls.
Jesus
and
Christ.
Sexually assaulting them. They're like, this is starting to look like he's taking it up a notch.
I mean, okay. Having a track record of that is insane in the first place. I can't believe that somebody can have more than 2 of those.
Oh, he has.
And be on the street.
5 incidents of sexual assault, abducting 7 total women.
That's
some of them not women, some of them sophomores.
Children. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Teenage girls. And it's ridiculous. Children. It's ridiculous. So right away, they need to get some search warrants, and they want to check this fucking guy out from head to toe. They definitely want to hold him by the ankles and shake him around and see what falls out of this. So, like I said, Donald Michael Blum is his name, birth name of Pince. He is using all these aliases. So, one of his coworkers, like we said, that's how this whole thing started. They found out that Blum had property, like it's right by there, like we said as well. They end up going to his house, and they really, really want to look at his fire pit. Mm-hmm. They conduct a 12-hour search of his property on June 19th. So the day after this guy calls, they find out all this shit. The second they look him up, second they find out who he is and look him up, they go, oh, that's our guy, or at least somebody we need to talk to if he was near there, and he loves to abduct young petite girls. So during their examination of the fire pit, they find a number of bone fragments.
Oh, no.
Which isn't normally in your fire pit. I don't know what you burn, but I don't usually burn sentient things.
Yeah, I mean, when I make a steak, when it's on the bone, it stays on the bone when I take it off the grill.
Absolutely, and there's not fragmented. Oh, also what appeared to be part of a jawbone, which there's not a lot of jawbones that I have lying around.
Not a lot of things near the jawbone that I like to eat.
No. And then you go, well, a jawbone, it could be a different kind of animal. Oh, no. Also a human tooth they found in there.
No.
So all of these things look very, very bad, to the point where June 20th, 1999, which is after midnight, they end up arresting him and taking him in. They take him in. Agents from the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension were looking for him because he wasn't home. Only his wife was there. They went and end up finding him with his family at a campground 140 miles away.
What family?
That's his family, like the Pinces.
Got
his own family. Yeah, like I think his brother or somebody like that. Don't quote me on that. I'm not sure. Okay. So he's arrested later on as he drove home from the trip and taken in for questioning. He also had firearms because it was a hunting trip. He's a convicted felon, not allowed to have firearms. So they can immediately arrest him, not even worry about Katie's stuff for the moment. They can work on their case, and he's locked up on a federal charge of possessing a weapon, a felon in possession of a weapon. So they're in good shape there. They find out he purchased the Moose Lake property with the tooth in the fire pit about 2 years earlier, and his neighbors said he was always at the property all the time, always there. But they said ever since about a month ago, late May, They haven't seen him at all. The place has been totally neglected in the recent weeks. Can't even.
Weird.
It's overgrown. He's not taking care of it anymore. Hasn't been back there in weeks.
Okay.
Super weird. So that's suspicious. They also learned that in the police lineup, they get him in. The Hannock lady positively identifies him as the man she saw on the property that night.
Yeah.
Now, that's an hour and a half before it happened, and he was seen leaving and going to a town. But he could have very easily drove there, ate at that cafe, got back in his car, and then came back here when the place was quieter.
Sure.
You're not going to abduct her in front of the subway lady.
No.
Generally.
That's crazy.
You'll do it in front of a camera, though. So he's charged with kidnapping based on the eyewitness identification, which is pretty thin, honestly, to say somebody that you saw an hour and a half before that. But they put him in jail, and his bail set at $285,000.
Wow.
Keep him high. So he retains private counsel, but then a public defender is appointed after private counsel withdraws, probably because he's not paying them, I would assume.
Right. Yeah.
So he's charged with one count of kidnapping, and later on they charge a convicted felon illegally possessing several firearms discovered during the search of his property as well. He's not allowed to have those, obviously. So they've said that this is July 1st. They released the information to the public about the bones coming from the fire pit and charred things and teeth and a hoop earring. They also found a random hoop earring, a tooth, a chainsaw with blue fibers in it.
What? Okay.
Trees don't generally have blue fibers in them.
No.
And then also strands of hair they found around, and condoms as well.
Wow.
So they find all of this shit around here.
A condom tree to cut down.
We got a condom tree that was wearing a shirt,
Right.
A condom tree with
Super
some
hairy.
Yeah.
Super hairy condom tree.
Super hairy condom tree. So who the fuck is this asshole?
I am riveted, James.
Okay. He has at least 13 aliases. Mm-hmm. Most recently worked at the Veterans Home in Minneapolis, going by Donald Hutchinson. He's born in 1949, so he's 50 years old. Yeah. So not 25, but could be weathered, Sure. A psychologist who conducted an extensive examination with him in 1992 learned that he'd been abused by his father for a good amount of time. Right. And when he turned about 13, he became a heavy drinker, which is it's about the right age to start heavily drinking.
Yeah.
Tough day at work. I got to pound back a fifth.
That's the word that really makes that weird.
Yeah, drinker is, that's just living in Wisconsin if you're 13 and pounding some booze, but
right. Heavy drinker, that's crazy.
Yeah, you got to have a job for that shit, You
got to have some stress and a wife that pisses you off.
Yeah, so we've got divorce and stress and
pain in the ass kids. One won't stay out of jail. That'll make you a heavy drinker.
Kid that won't stay out of jail that you have to bail out all the time.
Right.
So in the 10th grade, he went to a reform school because he was a frequent truant and he got busted underage drinking multiple times. So they do that. Later on in high school, he was a wrestler. He wrestled in high school. He was known as Bud back then, Bud Pence. He was on the wrestling team as well. He was on the B squad, and he wasn't really good. So he was just kind of there. Yeah, there was no big deal. An old friend of his said, quote, his life was so secret, even Willie it was his brother, didn't know nothing. He said, he's been nothing but a thorn in everybody's side. After he started drinking, I don't know nothing good about him. Before that, he was a good kid. Before 13.
Yeah, so booze ruined everything.
Yeah, another old neighbor of his said that he was a good kid when he was a child. He said, quote, he was a good athlete in grade school. He could always beat me in a foot race. He seemed okay, him and his brother. So then they all said, though, around 15, 16, his whole attitude and his behavior changed. He didn't graduate from high school. Really? He didn't return to school for his senior year. He just didn't come back. Yeah. He went to his junior year, and that was that. A friend of his also said that he was involved in not only alcohol but drugs around that time, and they said that's what changed him was the booze and the alcohol and the drugs. And he said, quote, it's alcohol. When he's drinking, he's a Jekyll and Hyde. When he got into drinking, he just went nuts.
Okay.
Which
that's one thing. You could say that out loud, but the fact is his life sucked, and that's why he drank.
He had a lot of problems. His
life was no fun.
He married a woman named Deborah in 1970. So at 21, he gets married to Deborah. And oh, by the way, the lady who was behind him said he was weaving pretty badly. So probably if he's drinking, going nuts and being like, I can just take a girl from a convenience store and that's fine. That's the theory anyway. So 1970, he marries Deborah. 1973, they divorce. So that doesn't last. Doesn't last long.
No.
Maybe it's because she could see something in him, because in 1975, he kidnaps a 14-year-old girl.
Oh, my.
At 26. Kidnaps a 14-year-old girl, gags her, and molests her in many different ways. And disgusting. Think it gets worse, though, Jimmy. He locked her in the trunk of his car. But she ended up escaping from the trunk of the car. I don't know if the seat went down or some shit. She got out of the trunk and ended up running away and turning him in.
Wow.
So good for her. He ended up going to trial and was convicted. So
and that was before they had that little red handle in trunks that you can just yank and jump out.
The only thing then, all the seats folded down though too. You could just push them. They didn't have good clips. You could just shove them in a seat and go down. So you could put like so you could put like a dresser drawer in there or something if you're moving. So he's out within 3 years though. Mm-hmm. Within 3 years he's out, which seems light for.
That seems very fast.
The abduction and rape of a 14-year-old girl. That seems real light.
Whose only saving grace is that she's mechanically inclined to either take out a taillight and reach around and open the trunk or whatever the fuck she did. That's the only reason that it's not worse.
It's not. Yeah, he didn't decide, okay, I'll let you go now. This is some girl fought for her life, and that's the only reason why.
Have you ever heard of that, where somebody abducts somebody, puts them in a trunk, rapes them, does horrible things to them, and then pops the trunk and lets them go?
Okay,
that
you can go now.
Happen.
Not usually. Normally,
I'm done.
Once someone's been had raped you or done horrible things to you and then puts you in a trunk, they're taking you somewhere as your final. That's the final place they're taking you.
Don't talk, right?
Yeah, you're going to feel bumpiness, and that's a trail in the woods that you're driving on.
Right.
Which is fucking creepy as shit. So this poor young woman, or young girl, Jesus, she's 14. By then, he's out 3 years later, and within 3 years, he commits an aggravated assault. And then 5 years after that, so we're talking 1980, he's arrested for criminal sexual conduct again as well.
Jesus Christ.
So he also kidnapped 2 teenage girls, drug them out to a remote area where he threatened both of them and sexually assaulted one of them at knife point.
My word.
Knife point.
They were rated, right? Jesus.
I would say they were only rescued because a police officer saw their car parked weird. So they just pulled over to see what the fuck was going on, see if some drunk was over there parking their car fucked up. And instead, it was somebody 2 teenagers being fucking raped at knife point. So the police officer pulls over and he took off. He ran away, but he ended up being caught for that as well. So he's had a lot of problems. 1983 comes around.
Yeah, where he should still be in prison for a very long time. And he's not.
That's what I mean. That was 80. And this is like the third time he's done that. So they were apparently there was a woman driving on a rural road in 1983. She drove by Blum, who was walking, so she offered him a ride. Okay, he got in the back seat of the car, and they continued to drive. This was 2 young girls, 15 and 16 years old. Oh, boy. Let's give that weirdo a ride, which... Yeah, let's give that 30-something. But I mean, they're being nice, you know.
There's 2 of us. What's he going to do?
Exactly. And teenage kids like to meet people and know people. That's just what you do. You're trying to explore the shit. At this point now, you're like, oh, Jesus, look at him. You pick up the pace and drive by him. You roll the window up. Fuck that guy when you're an adult. But as a kid,
he doesn't own a car. What a fucking creep.
But or at least a bicycle. Right. As a 15-year-old, you're like, oh, that drifter looks interesting. Yeah. I bet he has life experience to tell me about. You know, it's a weird thing.
He's in the wind and on the road. He's probably got it. Where is he from? Let's find out.
What about that? Let's find out. You know why? Let's see how he got here. Why don't we? So they're both small. One's 5'2", 110 pounds. One's 5'6", 115 pounds. So petite young ladies. At some point, Blum pulls a knife out and threatens them and tells them where to drive. Remote wooded area, instructs them to exit the car, threatening them with a knife. forces them to walk into the woods by holding them by the backs of their shirt collars, which that's how I'm walking behind them, which sounds familiar, and has the knife out as well. Once he gets in the woods, he ties them up and gags them and attempts to rape them as well. Jesus. During this, he begins to choke one of the girls to the point where she became very red and looked like she was going to pass out. So then he stopped choking her and started choking the other girl. God damn it. At some point during the switch of the choking, they were able to wriggle free and escape.
Oh, thank God.
So they ran away from him, and then he ran away from the scene, but he was subsequently caught because these girls know exactly what he looked like. And he was, I'm sure he didn't mean for them to, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Then again, that year, there's another one. He kidnaps a young lady. He kidnaps her and shoves a pair of socks into her mouth, and also has some kind of, I don't know what he did. He hit her with a brush or something.
Jesus.
She also had to walk through heavy woods and she was choked by him. It's fucking horrible. He kidnapped her, sexually assaulted her in the second degree, quote, in a particularly cruel way, for which, this is from the court documents, for which defendant ought to be held responsible upon the following facts. She was tied up several times, gagged and blindfolded, subjected to multiple sexual contacts. Blum held her, at the time, Pence held a knife to the throat of her and threatened to kill her in order to silence her screaming induced out of terror. He threatened to kill her in order to bring about her compliance in order to facilitate the sexual assault. Both victims had to witness the other committed against the other, because this was the two young girls. He choked both of them and causing them to fear for their lives. He poked one of them in the stomach with a knife after he was done with his sexual assault, it says as well. And he subjected the other to gratuitous degradation by lifting up her clothing and peering at her breasts and genital area after the sexual assaults. He's a fucking disgusting monster. That's
torture.
He then placed, because this is two different girls, Jimmy. This is the same MO. He then placed one of them in the trunk of his car on a hot day in order to facilitate the transportation to the scene of the sexual assaults. It was a remote wooded area. It's fucking horrible. So, and in the court documents, it says Pence does not dispute the factual accuracy of the reasons for departure, but disputes that the facts show unusual or particular cruelty. That was his argument.
What the fuck are you talking about?
I did all that, but it wasn't in an especially cruel way. So what? I kidnapped teenage girls, raped them at knife point, put them in a hot trunk. That's not that cruel. Are you out of your fucking mind?
I was just going to ask you, are these not punished severely because it's his word versus theirs and they don't have DNA then? So it's like there's a little bit of a shadow of a doubt if this is even the right guy? Or is it because they're just lenient? And you just solved it. It's because the punishment for this is not severe.
Obviously, he's done this so many times. He keeps getting caught for. Imagine how many times he doesn't get caught for it. These are the ones he's caught for. And we'll talk about some ones where he definitely didn't get caught. So... Hey, everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you about a healthy, delicious item, Hero Bread. And we're both trying to get healthier this new year. Jimmie had a eye-opening doctor's appointment and things like that. So we're trying to get healthier, and I'm telling you right now, this Hero Bread is a good step in this direction. It's delicious, and it is really good for you, and it's really excellent. They have the sliced bread is good, the bagels, the tortillas. I know you've been
they're terrific.
Ranting about the tortillas. They're so good. With Hero Bread, you can focus on your health goals and still indulge in the soft, fluffy experience you love, but guilt-free. I really love the little Hawaiian rolls, too.
Yeah.
They're so good. They're so good. The Hawaiian rolls, they're legit. They're fluffy. Yeah. They're exactly how you want them to be. You'd never know it's low-carb and high-fiber bread from the texture. You get the soft, fluffy experience you know and love with your savory breakfast sandwich, late-night grilled cheese, Taco Tuesday. Do it. No compromises, just flavor, ultra-low net carbs, 0 grams of sugar, high in fiber. It's fantastic. Hero Bread is offering 10% off your order. Go to hero.co and use the code SmallTownMurder at checkout. That's SmallTownMurder at HERO.co.
And now back to the show.
Hey, everybody. Just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you a little bit about Sono Bello. You know, the most known secret with celebrities and influencers and all these famous people is so many of them have had lipo. They've had lipo, whether it's a little touch-up here or a total makeover. Yeah. Nobody has a perfect body. That's the thing. No. They may look like it on TV, but there's things that help that. Absolutely. Lipo now has changed, and Sono Bello's been at the forefront with using LAL technology and getting those beautiful and natural outcomes for each person. Looking real natural. Our friends at Sono Bello are offering their best deal. You're now included in their winter savings event, but appointments are limited, so please get on this. Sono Bello doctors are masters in micro-laser fat removal, a brilliant technique that removes stubborn fat permanently. Wherever your problem areas are, tummy, love handles, thighs, arms, it's gone in one comfortable visit. Eating healthy and workouts are great. Keep doing that, but if you want to lose that stubborn fat in one visit, check out Sono Bello. Save big during their winter savings event. Schedule your free consultation now at sonobello.com/smalltownmurder. That's sonobello.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
He is obviously a fucking menace, and he's out again by 1992. He's roaming the streets again, which is crazy.
He's been doing this for 20 years.
His ex-wife, he has 3 ex-wives by this point, by the way. He's currently married and has 3 ex-wives at 1999. One of his ex-wives told the St. Paul Pioneer Press, I would have to say that a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde personality. He can be the nicest person on this earth. He'll bend over backwards for you, but there's a dark side to this person that snaps and he gets very mean.
Yeah, that's called a predator and a sociopath. And,
that's exactly what that is.
He's grooming you. He does nice things so that you always comply. And when you don't, there's punishment to pay.
That's the psychopath thing. When you're on my side, it's great. But then when you're not, all fucking hands on deck.
Off. Yeah,
you're the devil now.
Right.
Done, because you are not on my side anymore. It's fucking disgusting. So she says to the ex-wife again, quote, I kept my kids away from him as much as I could. I don't know what sets him off. It could be anything. It could be not answering the phone or looking out the window when you're not supposed to.
What?
That is terrifying. You don't even know what's going to set him off. It's not like you can even avoid it. You look out the window.
That's enough to hurt somebody?
Fuck, man. That is wild. That's insanity. Also, State Representative Tom Pugh, he was a classmate of Donald's. He says he remembers him as, quote, a pretty nice guy. He said, I was surprised to find out years later about some of the things he was convicted of. I know I was shocked over the years to pick up the paper and now again to see his name.
Yeah, it's because you weren't he didn't have to hurt you because you weren't a 14-year-old girl.
That's exactly shit. Yeah, what you worried about?
What does he need? He doesn't need anything from you.
No, he needs a 14-year-old girl. He's like, I was real surprised. I don't know. He never tried to rape me at knife point. I've never seen the inside of his trunk.
All right.
So, 1992, he has a psychological exam. And the psychologist predicted that if he were not closely monitored, he would probably engage in antisocial behavior. Why he was he's at 7 abductions he's been fucking convicted of, and he's still on the outside. So it's crazy. So anyway, at the veterans home there, his supervisor reported that he had not known of the criminal record when he hired him. So I didn't even know his name. Shit.
Yeah, I'm supposed to find that with a different guy's name.
I don't know. He said that he kept to himself, and few people really talked to him or knew him. He was just a janitor, did his thing by himself, and that was kind of his deal. Apparently, after all of his incidents, he would change his identity and try to keep to himself. Right. That's what he would do. He'd try to keep quiet for a while. So it's so weird, though. Yeah, he came May 31st is when he resigned. So he didn't come into work the 27th or 28th. Came in the next day with different haircut and a different truck, and then quit on the 31st, which is a little bit, suspicious. 5 days after the abduction. So they said that he also had lied on his resume and everything, saying that he worked for the Department of Transportation. It's very fucking weird. And they also found Blum's barber, who also confirmed that he had a haircut on May 29th there, and he even dyed his hair. So he's doing a lot here. So following the disappearance of Katie, he started driving a Chevy Suburban to work instead of his F-150, which is what caught somebody's eye. He told one of his coworkers that he, quote, smacked up his truck.
Yeah, right.
He's the type of guy who, when you say what happened to your truck, he goes, smacked it up. Says a lot about a man right there.
Yeah. Did you crash it, or did it like make you mad and you punched it? What are you
Doesn't matter.
About? Yeah.
It's broken now. That's what matters. Smacked up.
It doesn't work.
So a neighbor also says that he talked to Blum on Friday, May 28th, 2 days after the abduction, and asked him where his truck was because he saw him driving the Suburban. These people are so nosy about everybody's car. I don't give a shit what anyone is driving. I don't. Do you notice your neighbor's cars? Oh, is that he got a new Altima over there? Who cares?
No, I don't know what they are.
Jesus Christ, I've never. That's wild.
The other thing is, like, for a janitor, seems to have some money. Ford F-150 and a Suburban are fucking expensive.
And 12 acres or 15 acres at Moose Lake. Yeah, it sounds.
You don't have to rape and murder, bud. You're doing great.
Sounds like he's doing all right. Maybe his wife is doing okay. So this guy, the neighbor, said that Blum told him that the truck's transmission was broken and it was at his brother's garage until he could afford to fix it. Okay. So also on June 18th, Blum told the police that he sold his truck to his brother and delivered it to his brother's house the previous month. So he's like, I don't even know what you mean. He told the truck that the police that the truck needed a new motor because it was barely drivable. Blum's mother also told police that Blum did not sell the truck to him, or Blum's brother said this, that no, he didn't sell it to me, but he said that Blum might have understood that he sold him the truck. He might have thought that I bought the truck, but I didn't buy it. Well, did you give him money for it? No, then you didn't buy it. No one should think that.
He still owns it then.
Then did he sign it over to you? Right. Like, there's ways that ownership transfers. Can't just be like
whose name is the truck in and who received cash for it. If none of that happened and it's still in his name, that's still his truck.
All of that would help. So the brother said that he and Blum had discussed the Katie's abduction, and Blum expressed concern that the police would investigate him because of his past and because investigators were looking for someone with a black truck. And he also told his brother that maybe I should get rid of this truck so they don't bother me.
That looks more suspicious than hanging on to it.
Terrible. If I was him and there was abductions in the area, I would go to the police station just to go, I didn't do that, by the way. Right. I know I've got a past. You want to look around my house? Go ahead.
I'll spit in a cup. I'll jerk off in a cup. I'll do whatever you need. I wasn't there.
I'm jerking off anyway in about 10 minutes. So if you want to throw a cup down in front of me, that's your prerogative.
It's all yours.
Your prerogative here. So, yeah. Anyway, the search for Katie continues. Not the search for Katie, but kind of the whole search for more evidence of all this. They take more items from his property. They take everything. They just kind of take everything they can here. Yeah. They were, at first, the parents the whole time were hoping that she was alive still. They were hoping that, they were saying that they felt that she was alive and they felt that, she was being held somewhere, and so it's bittersweet, obviously. Sure. You want to know what happened, and you want closure, but you don't want that closure to be, my daughter is now a tooth in a fire pit. That's not the closure you're looking for here. So the parents say, this is Patrick, her brother, they had her memorial, and he says, Donald Blum killed her, but he never got her soul. She'll always be in my heart. That's very nice. So the family, very nice. They have a big thing. They have don't forget Katie buttons because they're trying to get laws changed to keep sex offenders in jail longer. Yeah. If you rape teenage girls at knife point, maybe you don't walk the streets in 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just shocked that was not a thought ever until fairly recently, I guess. In the 90s, it wasn't even a thing.
No, we never even thought about it.
That's unbelievable.
It was just like, oh, yeah, he's just horny and weird. Yeah, you can talk to him. Like, no, clearly this is a pattern.
There's a guy that's had weed twice. If we catch him again, that's life. What?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
This guy's abducted 7 young girls. No problem. Now, more bones are discovered here. 2 men discover bones on August 29th, 1999, exposed in a shallow pit surrounded by trees in Carleton County. They thought the bones looked like a human whose feet, hands, and head had been cut off. Thought it was like dismembered bones. They thought the intact skeleton would have been about 5'6" in height, the size of a person. Yeah. And they said they noticed it because they noticed the smell of something dead and then they discovered this. So they also told the investigators that a pool of body fluids appeared to be beneath the bones. So when they come out to check them out, the investigators find that based on the thickness of the ribs, the bones were a bear and not a human. That's what it was. It was just a dead bear. Yeah. So
thank goodness for that. Jesus. And I took a drink of water when you said pool of.
Yeah, perfect.
That was a tough swallow.
So apparently the medical examiner told the deputies to just dispose of the bones, and then a defense investigator for Blum later on contacts the police about the bones, and they had thrown out all evidence of them, photographs, the bones, everything's gone. And they're like, well, we wanted to prove that was someone had abducted someone and done the same exact thing after our guy was in jail was the whole point, and then they couldn't do that. So it was never done, pursued at all. Also, so the dental remains. They bring in board-certified forensic dental expert, Dr. Ann Norlander, and this woman, does everything looking at this tooth to try to find out what's going on here. At first, she didn't think it was even a tooth, but then the more she looked at it, she thought it was a tooth. Under the conditions the tooth had been recovered, any DNA might have been extracted from the tooth pulp and might have been destroyed. So they said that it could have been destroyed, and she had to resort to kind of other shit. She came across what appeared to be filling material in the tooth. So it confirmed to be a human tooth. Obviously, animals don't get fillings, and it made it possible to determine, could it be Katie's? Tooth fillings consist of an organic matrix and an inorganic filler material. All right. The organic matrix burns off, leaving the filler particles behind. That's a way an analyst can identify a brand, or at least a brand group, where the filling might have came from. Manufacturers use as many as 50 different filler types, and any of which will show up, on an X-ray, that sort of shit. So they identified it as a dental filling and tried to figure out the elemental composition and microstructure to be studied for classification based on distinct chemical signature. Wow.
Because it's just a piece of a tooth. It's not the whole tooth.
Not the whole tooth.
We can't compare it to anything.
Yeah. They said at least Katie could be eliminated as the source of the tooth if it didn't match her dental work. At least they could try to do that. So the composition of the filling of the tooth from the fire pit matched that of the fillings used for Katie's. In addition, researchers managed to identify it as a number 18 tooth and to determine that it was from a young female.
Wow.
The chance that, could have been in her mouth. Either way, some fucking young lady's tooth has been burned in this fire, so this is bad. Either way. So this is obviously not DNA evidence, though, because they can't get it out of it. So they're going to hang on to that. They work on the jersey, the Don Mattingly jersey. Blum says, I never had a Yankees jersey. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Blum's brother-in-law says that he gave Blum the jersey. Gave you the Mattingly jersey, bro. What are you talking about? So
remember you came over and were like, I'd like to have me a Donnie baseball.
Oh, that's that Donnie. Oh, man.
Why don't you take this one?
That sweet lefty stroke into the short porch. Oh, man, I want to watch that. Also, one of his coworkers told police he contacted police saying that he also had seen Blum wear the jersey to work as well. So people have seen you fucking wear this. One of his, on September 8th, Blum said that he was wearing a New York jersey that night, which he might have got at a garage sale or from his brother-in-law. But then later on, he will testify in court that he does not own a New York Yankees jersey, and his brother-in-law never gave him one, and he hates the Yankees and fucked on Mattingly. Just nothing to do with it.
Huge
Changed
Mets
his mind.
fan. Rather have a Dykstra jersey.
That's it. I'm looking for a Wade Boggs of that era. So in jail, he's charged with, like I said, kidnapping, illegal possession of a firearm, which is a federal charge, given his prior convictions. Not allowed to have any firearms anywhere near him. So then in September, he says he wants to make an admission. I want to tell you something, he says. He works out a deal where he would talk after he called members of his family. Okay? He also makes a deal saying that if he makes this deal with them, my wife, nothing happens with my wife. She can't be charged for anything, and she gets to keep all of our property and vehicles and everything else. So they won't seize that. That's part of the deal.
That's a weird deal to start with.
Well, wait till you hear later on some stuff that his wife probably should have fucking said. She literally perjures herself and then gets to keep property because of it. It's fucking disgusting. So anyway, It's weird. So he ends up, talking about that during this whole thing. When he's talking about making a deal, he also makes escape plans. And then they're discovered by police because he tries to involve other inmates because he's a moron. So now they stick him in solitary confinement.
Okay.
So his attorney, Rodney Broden, tried to dissuade him from making any kind of deal, saying that, you're probably going to get life in prison. They're not going to go find 10 years.
Right.
If you tell them you killed a girl and burned her at your fire pit, they're going to give you life. Like, you're fucked here, dude. You're not getting better than that. So Blum said he wanted to put the whole matter behind him, wanted to get it out of the way, just get it over with. He's
been in and out of prison so many times on shit like this. He believes he's going to get out.
Yeah, why he has every other time.
Right.
He even said they even made a deal that if he does, give them the information that they want, he can receive his incarceration in North Dakota so he can be near his family to visit him. Okay. And 3 defense attorneys sat in the room, and he's fully advised of his rights. He's sitting there talking, fully advised of his rights with 3 defense attorneys. Okay. So if he says anything, it is, you can't get more of a fucking I meant to say this than 3 attorneys who've told you the risks and everything else, and you said, no, I want to put this behind me. So September 8th, he says that he's going to do it. He's going to talk about it. He even calls a reporter, and he said that if he was going to talk to the police, and if the reporter came back on Monday, he'd, quote, tell you what everybody wants to hear.
Oh,
so they said, They also said, was it Katie's tooth found in your fire pit? And he said, quote, it could be. That's not good. That means it could be someone else's tooth, is what that means to me.
That's horrible.
Which means there's more people that have been burned in his fire pit.
That means for sure she was burned there, and also.
Yeah. This is like if Israel Keyes and Stephen Avery had a son. They'd have this fucking asshole. So he makes a confession September 8th. 2.5 hours of teary-eyed blubber.
Yeah.
He said that on May 26, 1999, the day of the abduction, he went fishing. That's nice, simple. And then drove home to Richfield. He said, however, later that night, he returned to his Moose Lake property. He just had an itching for it, a hankering. Mm-hmm. He said on the way, he stopped to purchase liquor and have a beer at the bar. So he said he had seen Katie in the store doing some work, cleaning shit up, stocking shelves and shit. He said he didn't know her, but he said he made a grab for her, just out of a kind of a spontaneous grab, which I don't believe because he cased the fucking joint an hour and a half earlier. So,
but also it's a weird thing to say and very gross.
He said that she had run outside and he followed her and forced her into his pickup and then drove her out to his fucking trailer in the middle of nowhere. Okay. He says, quote, I don't know if it was just out of guilt or something or whatever, feeling stupid, but then I choked her and killed her.
None of those feelings go together.
What? Or whatever, just feeling stupid. I'm feeling stupid. I better choke this teenager to death. That'll make me feel less stupid.
Yeah. Has he seen
what
Casino?
The fuck?
What is he talking about?
He said that he choked her from behind, saying it took 20 minutes.
What?
This fucking monster he can't even fucking strangle somebody correctly to put them out of their misery. This fucking monster.
That is a long time.
Yeah, that's horrific. That's absolutely brutal.
Yikes.
He does not admit to sexual assault, though. He goes, I didn't have sex with her. No, this was the one time I kidnapped someone and didn't have sex with them. I
took a grab for her with the plan of, I guess, murdering her. You've never had any intention of just murdering anybody.
Nope.
You've always been worried about your dick.
Any murder would be so they don't run away and tell about the raping. That's the murder. That's what that's for. He then says that once he knew she was dead, he took her out to the fire pit and put her in a fetal position in the fire pit. Then he said he gathered wood and paper to make it burn, like fence boards. That's not enough. You can't burn a body with wood and paper. It doesn't get hot enough. It just doesn't get hot enough. You can't We've talked about this before.
That's not. Yeah, it doesn't work.
No, you need accelerants.
Yeah,
the fire has to be like. What did we find? It was like 1,600 degrees or some crazy shit. It's an incinerator, not a fire pit.
You need ether-soaked wicker balls.
Yeah, you need our 4th of July fire at least. But this is ridiculous. So they don't believe that about him. He, he said he did push her into the truck, and he said he did choke her to death, and he did throw her body into the fire pit. Those things are true, but he said he did not use an accelerant to burn her, which is completely untrue, because we found people who soak people in gasoline and have everything else, and there's still half a body left. It's a
4-day fire. There's still a whole foot.
It's just what do we do with this now? So he did say that the bones recovered in the fire pit did belong to Katie. He does admit that, he says. He said that he did not sexually assault her again, but, quote, he may have been thinking about it.
Good Lord.
It may have been thinking about it, but which to me, that's admitting he did it. Yeah. Right there. May have been thinking about it for a liar like him.
If it's even a thought, then with a guy like that, it happened.
Fuck yeah. So he claims not to remember a lot of the details, including his interactions with her, what she said, what he said to her, all of this shit that's very important to, do the whole deal. Also, forensic scientists confirmed the presence of gasoline residue in the fire pit, which could be from another fire. Who knows?
Could have been anything, yeah.
Probably not. He did say, too, she was kicking at him and trying to fight back, but he just kept choking her. They seized 960 items from his home, and his account, inconsistent from the evidence, both the videotape evidence, the burn pit, claiming he walked out. He claimed he walked out of the place with her with his hand on her arm or shoulder, but no, he was behind her with his hand on the back of her neck. He says that he does recall her asking him several times to let her go, although she had not fought him until he was choking her at his property.
Yeah, because she was trying to reason with her kidnapper and try to get out of there without hurting anybody.
She's trying to humanize herself to get out of the fucking thing so he would be maybe he would turn into a human for 5 minutes. He said he had managed to kill her with his bare hands. He said the incineration was just wooden paper, obviously, like I said. And he said when they asked him about it and said, why? He says, doesn't make much sense to me either. He says that I just don't know why I did it. Not even sure. They said, so it's the remains are Katie's. And he said, I guess so. They said, what do you mean you guess so? Are they? How many fucking remains do you have? Are they there or not? If so, there's remains in my fire pit. I know exactly where they came from, probably. He said he didn't know the answer. And then he was asked, then whose remains were they? And he said, well, I was asking that myself, man.
Yikes.
Just in a circle. So when the interview was over, he called 2 local television stations to tell them what he had done. He said, I admitted it. Now can you leave my family alone? That's what he said. Now that I've admitted it, will you leave my family alone? So this deal also gave seized property back to his wife, Amy, including the Moose Lake acreage, the home in Richfield, and the family vehicle. So, yeah, there's that. This is fucking crazy. So then he recants his confession after that.
Of course.
Deals off. He said he made a false confession because of the stress of solitary confinement and the, quote, 10 medications he was taking.
Or the overwhelming mountain of evidence.
Or that's the other thing. Or all of this evidence.
Yeah.
He said he'd been hallucinating and had believed in his hallucinations in this thing that the only way to escape the cell was to tell them what they wanted to hear.
What kind of drugs do they have him on?
That sounds great. I would love drugs like that. That sounds amazing. Dude, I saw it was like a rainbow figure with like a unicorn horn, and he said, you just tell them what you want, what they want to hear, and you'll be home magically. That's good stuff.
And I was like, I murdered them all.
I murdered them all. He said he was not in his right mind when he confessed, but now he claimed that he had not known what he was saying. So the cops, the district attorney said, okay, well, we'll yank that plea deal then, and thanks for that info.
Yeah.
Because, if you proffer it up and it's not, you don't adhere to the...
still use that in court.
Well, that's usually the problem is if they'll have like different deals. They'll have a deal where if you're a witness, they'll have a proffer deal with you where you can say you did all this shit and none of it counts. You know what I mean? Because you're admitting to some shit you're going to get immunity for. This is kind of a different deal where... Right. Yeah, they can pull it back, but then everything, you didn't live up to your part of the deal, so anything you said, they can now use still. So you fucked yourself pretty good. The plea deal's rescinded. The defense now brings up Donald Christensen. What about him? What about Donald Christensen? We think he did it. It wasn't our guy. Now,
the guy that gave all the information from work?
No. Just some other guy. Not that guy.
Oh, okay.
So that was Hutchinson. That was his name, Donald Hutchinson. This is a different guy, Donald Christensen. Apparently, police were investigating Christensen as one of the possible suspects. They had 300 leads they were working on, so there's a lot of them. Christensen he's a fucking scumbag. I mean, the guy's done all sorts of terrible shit. And then when he was in jail, he told someone, quote, "I did it, but they'll never get me for it. They got Blum now."
Oh, boy.
That's what he told someone in jail. But he might have just been fucking
trying to keep safe in jail.
People brag so much in jail and say so much bullshit in jail. The police had ultimately eliminated him as a suspect because there was no evidence whatsoever connecting him to the crime. So, but the defense said that he did it. He's 6 foot tall, 170 pounds, had curly blonde hair at the time of the abduction.
Yep.
So he looked like they were similar looking from a grainy surveillance tape. His friends and coworkers identified him in the tape and said, "We think that's Donald Christensen." Yeah. And he also owned a New York Yankees jersey. This is Christensen.
He has a jersey too?
He has a Yankee jersey too. Same size, same hair.
Damn it.
He also was on a rural property about 35 miles northeast of Moose Lake during the time prior to May 28th. And on the night on or around May 26th, witnesses heard, quote, female screams coming from the vicinity of the property. Okay. He changed his appearance after the abduction by cutting his hair and growing a mustache, changed vehicles in early June, failed to show up for work from May 24th through June 4th, was acting strangely and told friends that he would go to jail for doing something bad, asked a friend to get rid of a knife for him, claiming it was tainted, then fled to Texas after information about an alternate perpetrator showed up in the media.
Oh, my God.
That all looks bad. Also, he has a history of sexual assault and aggressive behavior, including a 1995 conviction for sexual assault of a young petite female whom he held by the neck and shoulders, threatened with a gun, and transported in his truck to a rural area.
God damn it, I hate them both.
I hate them both. There's two assholes in the same area. They're out in the fucking woods together. Rape each other. How about that? Let's have a fucking rape / fight club with these two. One of them will die.
There's so many pieces of shit that do this. Fuck.
A sexual assault victim of Christensen, upon seeing the surveillance video, stated, quote, "He put his hands on my shoulders by the sides of my neck and was trying to reassure me he wouldn't hurt me. He was standing behind me just like in the photos of Katie Poyer being kidnapped." Mm-hmm. Which seems like a common way, though, because I've seen this many times. This is how guys...
that's how you lead people. Right.
Control somebody like it's a leash. So also Christensen like I told you, had the jersey, had all that shit. But Blum, in his defense, also included evidence that Christensen was on a property 35 miles away. So he said, what about that? How about that? The teeth were burned too badly for DNA. Like we said, that didn't quite work out. Oh, by the way, the DA says this isn't about DNA, it's about his confession. That's the biggest nail in his coffin, talking about Donald Blum. Mm-hmm. It's about the witness seeing him at the gas station and getting most of his license number. It's about the receipts placing him in the area. It's about him being given a New York Yankees jersey like the one being worn by the kidnapper on the surveillance tape. So we don't get to pound in this one nail, we'll pound 10 others, talking about the lack of DNA. Yeah. A lot of circumstantial evidence. Oh, by the way, in addition to being a definite piece of shit, multiple kidnapper, rapist, general society's worst, Donald Blum also possibly is a serial killer. Okay? That's the other thing they think. Let's talk about Callie Jo Larson, who was a 12-year-old girl.
Oh, for Christ's sake.
Who was murdered. And the police said, we'd be fools not to be looking at him for this. He said that Blum and other suspects are just people who've not been able to account for their time during the window when she was killed, or people who have violent histories of sexual assaults. They're also looking into Blum's connection with a case from 1983, we'll talk about in a few minutes here, in which a transient woman's nude body was found near the St. Paul Cathedral in Minneapolis, strangled and beaten. So, According to police, Blum called the department's homicide unit a few days after that death, claiming he had been on a bench near the cathedral and witnessed the killing. Out of the fucking blue, he did that. Bullshit. That's 101. That's our guy. That's our guy 101 right there. I didn't do it. I just saw the whole thing. But
I want to help you guys look for the killer. That's not me. Definitely not me.
Definitely not me. I mean, I've been busy for the last 4 days. I couldn't give you guys a call to give you a head start on it. But now that I think about it, he was killing that lady.
I certainly want to steer this investigation towards somebody else.
Oh, my God. This was Wilma Jean Johnson, who was 44, found shortly before 7 a.m. wearing only men's socks, one black and one gray. Her clothing was found in bushes about 20 feet away. So they said they don't know about Blum, but it was also pouring torrential downpour rain that night. So they were pretty much the only people out are rapists and murderers. No one's just sitting on a bench watching a rape murder that night. It's just not happening.
I was just enjoying the wash. I brought a bar of soap, sat down on the bench, and just...
I brought some Irish Spring with me. I'm going to get refreshed. It's out there. Hi.
I just saw a Zest commercial, and I really wanted to try it.
I'd like to be zestfully clean. It seems like fun. So he said that the case is open, and they're investigating it and all that sort of thing. They also said that a veteran St. Paul police officer recognized Blum's name and remembered the Johnson case, and that's why they're reconnecting him to it now. They said, though, that all the other crimes are not a top priority right now. They said, let's work on this one and then move on. Okay. Callie Joe, though, the 12-year-old that we talked about, he's one of a dozen suspects in the murder of Callie Joe Larson. This was in April, so the month before. She's a 12-year-old who was raped and stabbed to death, which is fucking horrific. Jesus, goddamn Christ. In a phone interview with KBJR-TV in Duluth, he said he had never heard of Larson or the crime. And when the reporter said that Callie Joe Larson was found hung upside down, Blum said, "That's a pretty gross thing to say, I think." And the reporter said, "That's a pretty gross thing to do. Were you involved in that?" And he said, "No, I wasn't."
That's the right phrasing. To say, what are you talking about?
And then the reporter asked him, "Do you have any remorse for, killing Katie or for any of your other crimes?" And his answer, this is, wow. Quote, "I have a hard time answering personal questions over the telephone."
Afraid you're going to steal my information.
Wow. That is fucking bonkers.
Personal information. Oh, boy.
Then he says, this is bullshit. He's never going to be able to get a fair trial. They've already convicted me out there. Not like, because I'm guilty, but still. He said that everyone's made up their minds that he's guilty. Then he says, quote, "I don't trust the government."
Okay.
So that's the guy. I've seen them lie.
Okay.
The sheriff has not followed all 3,200 leads like he says. It was 300, by the way, not 3,200. Katie Poyer could walk through that door and they wouldn't believe it. He says that it's hard to ignore. He said, I got human remains on my property, sure, because they asked him about it. He says, quote, "I don't know who those bones are."
Oh, boy. Oh, no.
I don't know who those bones are?
You can't say that.
That is not an acceptable excuse. Well, I don't even know who those bones belong to in my own property. I'm not sure. That's terrible. How many? Oh, my God.
Is he saying he doesn't know who those bones belong to in that not like they were inside somebody, like they possessed it, or like somebody possessed it and left it up at my house?
I mean, either way, I'm not sure of the bone. They could have come from some inside of someone's body. Maybe I'm not positive.
What a crazy thing to say out loud.
And he also says, "I'm 50. They said the guy was in his 20s. So there you go. It's not me." He said, quote, "A bunch of evidence says it's not me." He said, "I lied to them in September when I told them that I killed Katie." He's like, I was just desperate to get out of the county jail. That's why I lied. So
you'll never hear me lie and say I did something I didn't do.
I strangled a fucking nice 19-year-old woman.
Especially that.
Yeah. Well, he said, and this I hear all the time, when you're in county awaiting your trial and doing all that, and you have like a plea, the guys want to get to prison as quickly as possible because the accommodations are better. The food's better and shit like that. So that's what he was saying. I just wanted to get out of county. So I said I killed a teenager. He said, I just started giving a statement. And at the very end, I stated I started getting a bad taste in my mouth. I couldn't come out and say that was Katie's body there, he said. Yeah. So they said, the sheriff said, no, we followed all the leads. I don't know what you're talking about. There's also 3 other St. Paul cases involving girls 13 to 15 years old that he is a possible suspect in as well. Yeah, they said that these are older rapes from 89 and 90, so they don't know if the MOs aren't exactly the same, but maybe it wouldn't be because it's 10 years ago, so we might have progressed since then. Sure. Is the idea, I guess. It was 2 Maple Grove rapes in 89 and 90 that may be similar. One occurred 2 p.m. September 20th, 1989, as a woman walked through Battle Creek Regional Park. A man holding a knife came up behind her, grabbed her by the hair, took her to a secluded area in the park, and raped her, and told the victims things about himself that would help the Bloomington police with their investigation, too, which is weird. I'm
5'8".
Yeah, I don't know. My favorite show's in living color, like it's 89. I don't know.
This is so much and so frequent. It's happening so much that how does Minnesota not put this out and say, listen, there's a Minnesota monster. We stay in
many.
How much do they love
Minnesota
their
monsters.
Tourism? Yeah.
Come here. It's beautiful.
How much do they love their fucking lakes that they
catch some walleye? Never mind.
This. God,
just keep an eye on your daughters. That's all.
Yeah. Don't bring your daughters fishing.
The second attack occurred in the same area of the park about the same time of day about a year later. The victim... You put a sign up or something? The victim was roller skating. High rape area? I'm not sure. High rape likelihood zone? I don't know.
They put signs up, don't drink the water. Why not say this?
Why not? Deaf children in the area, they put up signs that say there's all sorts of shit. I don't know. So this victim was roller skating when a man walked up behind her and put a knife to her throat, took her to a secluded area, and raped her, tying her up with her own shoestrings.
That's despicable.
The August 7th, 1990, a woman was grabbed and raped as she was walking along the bike path at Rogers Lake Park in Mendota Heights. He said the attacker walked past the woman, then grabbed her from behind, threw her into the bushes, and attacked her. Oh, and what about Holly Spangler in 1993? Holly Spangler is from Bloomington. She was a 19-year-old student who was found stabbed to death in a city park. This is fucking, her roommates reported her missing after she failed to return from a party that she was going to attend on this time. They used search dogs. Police officers finally discovered her body in Bloomington Central Park 5 days after she was missing. They searched the area after receiving a tip from someone who saw her car near the parking lot. So they said, we don't need someone to call us and say the killer's name. We just need someone to call us and say, I was in the park. I just, whatever, ask me questions sort of thing. So she, this poor Holly Spangler here, they said that they were scared that there's multiple homicides in the area at the time in 93, and they were scared there was a serial killer on the loose. Her purse was found under her car seat. Nothing was missing from it. Yeah. So this is the same type of thing. She never went alone in the park is what her mother said, because that's what she told her mother. But 19-year-olds tell their mothers shit to make them feel better. Yeah. Oh, I would never go alone. But yeah, they're going to go. So she did there. So anyway, police were seeking basically a man who fit his description was who they were seeking at that point for that. They thought they had a suspect. They had a guy who was 29 years old at the time. He had blood on his shoes. Okay. And he was seen near there. So they tested out his blood. It turns out it was his own blood on his shoes. He had nobody else's blood anywhere.
Leaky son of a bitch.
Just leaking. No blood anywhere else on him of anybody else's. Only his own blood. So that's good.
When they do have serial killers, they should give them like insulting nicknames. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like the shriveled nutsack killer.
Yeah, like the Pittsburgh pussy fart or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
The Jacksonville jizz rag or something. They should give them just like the most insulting shit the police can. And the police say horrible things. They could think up some really great ones.
Yeah. I'd say the soft dick Sarasota stalker. Soft dick Sarasota stalkers in town, everybody. Watch out. He's got a limp dick, but he'll kill you.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Making fun of his mocking nicknames.
Yeah, just mock him. Just San Diego Saggy Balls, whatever the fuck.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Anything awful.
Just calling him names all the time.
Just fucking put it on news headlines constantly. That'll make him mad, and that'll do it.
Oh, man. So, anyway, the defense has a defense here. Not for Spangler. We're back to Katie Poyer. So, Donald's defense now, Blum, one of them is there was blondish head hairs found in his pickup truck, but they did not match Katie. So, who the fuck knows where they came from, but they weren't Katie. Fingerprints and palm prints lifted by investigators from the scene of the abduction there, the store, didn't match him either. But there was a million people in the store. Who knows?
It's a store.
It's a store. Yeah, he didn't have to touch anything. So authorities received security videotapes of Blum while he shopped at the Menards store in Richfield just days before the abduction. When compared with the security video of the Katie's abductor, the Menards film showed Blum with marked similarities, including hair length, style, facial features, posture, and the coloring of his sneakers. Okay. So they're saying all of this goes with that's him. Also, there's lineups. The subway lady picked him out, like we said. He says, though, the composite sketch doesn't look anything like him. So what the fuck? They made a bad sketch. It's obviously not me.
Right.
Imagine if every serial killer could just do that. That sketch doesn't look anything like me. It looks like none of them. Remember the Richard Ramirez sketches? Nothing like him.
On the lam forever.
Totally free.
Granted, he doesn't look like anybody, but neither does that sketch. If you could put a smell on that sketch, maybe we could catch him. But that face is not him.
That is not him. Yeah, does he smell like a goat? Can you have like stink lines coming off of his head?
Rub that sketch on a goat's asshole, then we'll catch him.
Stink lines with little pictures of goats next to it, with
like a garbage pail kid with flies and shit.
Yeah, flies. Also, one of Blum's defenses is that my confession wasn't even what happened there, obviously. So I confessed falsely, which means I said things that weren't true and didn't give the whole truth. So obviously that means I'm innocent.
Well,
because
what did happen then? Because you know who knows that?
No fucking shit. And then finally he said, what about Donald Christensen, the other guy? He's a rapist too. What's up with him? So, it's kind of silly. So anyway, November 2000, he goes to court for his federal gun case. He's got that going on still. He ends up being convicted there, and the Poyers are very happy. The brother says, quote, 1 down, 1 to go. So, and one more trial to go. The father says, this is the greatest day we've had since May 26th. So it's when she disappeared, since Katie's been gone. So, he said, this is William Pence. He said that he was disappointed but not surprised. This is Donald's brother. He said, I felt it looked dim from the beginning, which your brother's pretty dim too. I felt the jury was biased because of that other murder case. You know, those murder cases.
Those pesky things hanging about.
They could see her family sitting there every day. They could see Grandpa wearing a Find Katie button. They were like, we're stalking this motherfucker. Yeah. Like I said, you let him go. We'll grab him when you're fucking outside when you let him go. So you better hope they keep you, asshole, I feel like is the general vibe that they're giving off, because that's what my family would be giving off. They'd be wearing shirts that said, you better hope they fucking keep you.
I've gone and separated my family from my life. I don't think anybody's going to be there.
Well, if you're in an Italian family, even if you're not in with everybody, if there's violence afoot, everyone's joining in. I haven't talked to you in 10 years. We fucking somebody up? Great. Where is it? There's violence? Let's go. Yay. Violence.
My family would be like, oh, that asshole hates us. Who cares? He unfriended us on Facebook.
We're just jacked for any violence, especially if it's righteous. If we can go afterwards and go, it's for the kids. It's for the children. You know what I mean? This fucking guy's out.
Feels morally justified.
We had to cut his head off. I mean, there's nothing else we could do about it. He keep letting him out of jail. You know, we tortured him for about 4 hours, and then we dismembered him. That's how it works. What are you going to do?
Felt good to us.
Felt good. He's in the river. Don't worry about it. So he's found guilty on federal gun charges. During sentencing, he's unshackled. He's in civilian clothes. He stands at a podium, Donald does, and reads a 30-minute statement, none of which is contrite or apologetic or anything like that.
30 minutes.
He denies killing Katie, which he's not being charged with in this particular case. It's kidnapping and gun charges. He yelled at the prosecutors and witnesses, including, anybody who was there, for alleged lies and accused the government of pursuing the gun case to avenge Katie's death against him. He says, and I quote, "It's an immature use of power to take my life away on the assumption that I would be found guilty in the state case." He says, the goal is to put me away, guilty or not. That's what he said.
But you've got guns and you're a felon.
Well, the prosecutor said his criminal record began about 34 years ago. He has 9 adult convictions, 8 of which involve violence. So,
and that's not...
Fuck this guy.
With that many... He wasn't caught for everything. There's just what I mean. No way.
There's so much we don't know what he did.
Right.
Think about how many, especially if he's burning. He figured out not only do I have to kill them, I have to disappear them.
You got to get rid of it all.
Yeah, you can't just leave a girl in a park or, and then say I was on the bench and I saw it. That's not going to work.
That's unbelievable that people are capable of that, truly. Because, after you finish, how sleepy are you? You know what I mean?
Fuck,
and this guy gets it together to get rid of I can barely get rid of the load, James.
Yeah. He's got a fucking, I got to dismember people. But he definitely, the one where he said he was sitting on the park bench, I'm sorry. That's the number one thing that murderers do is try to insert themselves into the investigation and to call up to go, I just wanted to tell you I was there and saw the whole thing. I didn't do anything. I just sat back and watched a woman get raped and killed in the pouring torrential rain. Normal.
I was at a murder. I was present.
I was just hanging.
What are you doing? That's ballsy.
And I was like, wow, isn't this weird? This guy's raping and murdering her, considering I'm one of the most prolific rapists in town.
Right.
Is he trying to show me his techniques or is he trying to impress me? What a fucking scumbag.
This rain is lovely. What? You sit in the rain?
Oh, gosh, just sitting there. So the prosecutor then said the bottom line is he kidnapped and raped a number of young women and children of 18, 17, and 15. There were a lot of serious crimes. Then he said the government is proud of what it's done in this case and would do it again. This is when Blum stood up and slammed his hand down and interrupted and said, quote, "I can't listen to this. This is bullshit," in the middle of court. This is before he's sentenced, by the way. Before he's sentenced, he says this.
There's nothing better than swearing in court on a whim. It's on a whim. Good.
Then he apologized for the outburst. I'm sorry, Judge. I don't know what I was thinking.
I just showed my monster side. I'm so sorry about that.
Then the judge said, "That's all right. I get it. Emotions run high." He said, but, quote, you have not been treated differently. It's unfortunate you've chosen to minimize your conduct, though. You, sir, may fuck off. Maximum allowed by law, 19 years and 7 months.
That right there is very indicative of the fucking problem. That's the maximum allowed.
For federal gun charge and a kidnapping.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
and kidnapping.
And kidnap. But for some reason,
felon who's got guns and he's kidnapping folks? That's crazy.
It's 19 years and it was between 15 years and 19 years, 7 months was the sentencing guideline here for federal. So he complains from jail. He writes a handwritten letter accusing the judge of being swayed by public and political sentiment as well, including in the ruling that allows the confession to be used as evidence. Because he's like, this is because coming up, they're going to allow his confession in as evidence in his murder trial, and he's mad about it. His attorneys argued that the admission was part of a failed plea bargain attempt and should be suppressed. But no, he said, quote, I know you will make more obvious rulings for the prosecution. You allowed the prosecutor and others to lie and stall 8 months now. You're a liar and you'll live with it. This is what he wrote. This is what he wrote a judge in his case who's going to preside over his murder trial.
You liar.
That's not smart. He also accused the main witness of lying against him in the gun case. He said that was bullshit. He claimed that a Minneapolis couple who told the police they gave Blum guns as payment for work on their house, he said that later they admitted they were after the reward money. He also charged that prosecutors rewarded another witness by not pursuing charges against him. That witness was an ex-convict who Blum had befriended in prison and had testified that the two had hunted together using guns. Right. So, anyway, July 2000 is the trial. Murder trial. Yeah. They move it because of the publicity. Obviously, can't have it in downtown Moose Lake.
Yeah, but
where?
Where are you going to move it to? Fucking Mars? What are you doing?
Well, you move it to Virginia.
Well, that's far enough, I guess.
Virginia, Minnesota, that is.
Down the block.
Where they have the largest Southern rock show in all of... No, I'm just kidding. All of Minnesota. So
the largest soft rock show. It's just like gold and quartz and shit, granite.
Stuff you can just hit with a rock and it'll break it apart.
Comes apart.
Comes right apart. So the judge said, they chose Virginia, Minnesota, because it's as far away as they could get, I guess. I don't even know where the hell it is, but it's 65 miles north of Carlton, which is the seat of... So 65 miles away doesn't seem far enough away to get away from this.
No.
You would hear about this.
The newspaper doesn't get there.
No. Jesus Christ, 65.
Man. That's the difference between, my house and Mesa. That's hysterical.
It's ridiculous. I wouldn't know that happened. There's a serial killer running around.
I heard all about Jody Arias.
So the judge then takes steps to shield the jury from outside stuff, like they haven't heard it all already. Orders them not to talk about it with anybody else, blah, blah, blah. He is indicted on the first-degree murder charge, which is nice. Now, the state's case is he confessed, number one. Yeah. He said he killed her and burned the body, so there's that. Probably, yeah. Witness saw him. Co-worker said he did all that other weird shit, changed his car, changed his appearance, quit his job. Testimony of experts. By the way, we're going to get into some serious, for about 2 minutes, we're going to talk some serious dental science for a second here. Oh, yeah, you're going to know more about fillings than you ever fucking wanted to know. For about a minute and a half, though.
Okay.
Also here, the defense, though, is saying that it's the other guy, number one, and his wife has an alibi. His wife said during the time the prosecution alleges there was an abduction, he was home with his wife. Mm-hmm. That's it. Done and done, even though he admitted earlier to going out and drinking, and he has receipts that he was in there that night, well past the time he said he was with his fucking wife. And
a witness that has his fucking
and everything else.
There.
Yeah, it's bullshit here. So anyway, another thing, during the trial, he looks a lot different for the trial. Oh. Like a completely different guy. They said his physical appearance is completely different looking, no longer long hair and a beard, blonde hair. Now he's more gray. He looks like an older man trying to look more gentle. He's, Mark Johnson, the fiance of, this is her fiance's father. He says, this is senior here.
Oh, senior, yeah.
So we know it's real. He says, it's almost like he's trying to say to the jury, I'm too old and weak to do what they said I did to Katie.
Right.
Yeah, so start of the trial.
Killer tried that shit, too.
Yeah, look at me. I'm feeble. Yeah. That shit doesn't work with 98-year-old Nazis. They still drag them to court. It's not going to work with you at 50. Not going to work with you at 51. When they literally just dragged a 98-year-old secretary out of her fucking house to a trial in Europe. So you're not getting away, dude. Sorry.
It's pretty funny.
I'm telling you. So he says that, fuck, this is amazing. They said, you're about to see and hear, this is the opening for the prosecution, you're about to see and hear evidence of a crime so tragic and horrific that your memories will be permanently etched with the name and image of Katie Poyer and of Donald Blum. The defense attorney said, I don't want to mislead you. Mr. Blum did some of the stupidest things you could possibly do on his way to getting here for the trial. The stupidest thing was making a statement or confession to a crime he did not commit. That's what they're going to say. So first witnesses testify. The police chief testifies about getting the call about the whole deal, about watching the tape. And he said, quote, somebody was walking her out of the store. They bring the Hannick lady in there, to the subway lady, to say what she saw. Said he was walking back and forth at 10 p.m. and then followed him at 10:30 p.m. away. She said when he got out of the car, he was stumbling and couldn't walk straight and appeared to be intoxicated. So this was at the subway. He had asked Hannick if she was done for the evening making sandwiches, and she told him that she was done. And then he was wearing jeans and a T-shirt. He said that he got into a dark-colored pickup and left, and that was Blum. She said she identified him as that with the license plate and everything. Now, the family's reaction is a little bit, they don't know how to take this, as you would. It's it's horrible. So they said they had to sit through the opening arguments and talk about what was done to her. Her grandfather, this is Katie's grandfather, he said in some ways the testimony hasn't made Katie a real person yet, just a name and a graduation photo. It'll get harder for us. So it is, and it's really difficult, man. It's fucking brutal. They said, we're relieved that the trial has started after the confession, then his denial of the confession and all that's happened. It's the day we've been waiting for. Now it's real and everything has changed. So the fiance, too, Mark, he said, quote, it'll be hard sitting there listening, having all those awful days come back. The days when we hoped and prayed for Katie to come back to us, it'll be very hard. I fucking bet. Jesus Christ. So in the middle of the trial, he says, you know what? Fuck this lawyer. I want to represent myself.
Hell yeah.
I don't want to deal with this guy anymore. Who the fuck does he think he is with his law degree and his bar fucking state license? No. This guy right here.
I've never heard of an innocent guy doing that.
No, it's fucking crazy. Nobody does that. Nobody does that. Ted Bundy does that.
Right.
Because it never works. So
never.
He made a request. It was clarified during questioning by the district court and all this shit. The court told him that a request to represent himself was, quote, not a request to allow different counsel to represent you. And he stated that, yeah, I know that already. He said, quote, I would just rather do without legal attorney.
Oh, boy.
That's what he said. When asked for the reasons why he wanted to represent himself, he asserted that his counselors were giving him a, quote, snow job. I don't trust the government. They're liars. My counsel's giving me a snow job. Jesus fucking Christ. This guy is you just know this asshole. You just know him.
Yeah, he's
he's such an asshole. And they said he said they were minimizing his defense. He's like, he needs a vigorous defense. And they were not bringing out vital parts of his defense.
Which are what?
He concluded by saying he wanted to go on the record that he could, quote, prove without a doubt that his attorneys were not defending him 100%. That's the other thing. Not only do you have crazy thoughts, but you can definitely prove it 100%.
Yeah.
That's crazy shit that I could never prove and is very subjective is happening.
Right.
This is if you know people in your life that sound like this,
right,
this is who they are. So I know a lot of them. So he said that, he had the right to, the court said that, he understood that he has the right to be represented by counsel. And he said, yes, I do. Don't give a fuck. Give him a shit. So they go back and forth, and Blum said that he thought the trial had, quote, been going pretty good in some areas, but I think there have been too many areas that have not been touched. And the court explained to him, the judge, that maybe the counsel that you have didn't address those issues because they understood from their legal training that either they're not allowed to be brought up or fucking that it's not good strategy for you. They're lawyers. And so they said that they note his dissatisfaction but find the motion untimely since it's the middle of the trial and you don't have time to prepare for a murder trial that you've never represented anybody before. And concluded that self-representation would result in disruption and undue delay. And so they said the judge said to him about his lawyers, quote, quite honestly, I would say your counsel have been fighting zealously, which has been evidenced by the number of rulings and motions and requests that I've had to rule on in these proceedings. They're constantly throwing shit out there. Now, Amy testifies, Amy Blum, the Blum namesake here.
Right.
She says that she's the first defense witness, by the way. She's for the defense. She testified that Blum returned home at 9:30 on the night of Katie's disappearance. ignoring the fact that there's receipts and witnesses that place him.
Right.
Yeah. She said that they went to bed, and when she woke up in the morning, a pot of coffee had already been made. Therefore, she believed that he must have been home the entire night. Oh, he's up making coffee, having a Folgers morning over here. And this one, she also accused the police of threatening to take her children away if she didn't answer questions the way that she wanted, the way that they wanted.
Right.
Which was probably like, if you're lying, you're going to go to jail, and then your children are going to be put in protective. That's probably what it was. She also denied ever seeing a baseball jersey in the clothing given to him by the family, by his brother, and or his brother-in-law, restated to the jurors that one of only 6 witnesses was able to identify Blum in a lineup. Well, that's because they didn't see him. The only one claimed to have seen him. He also called his own forensic odontologist to counter the testimony of the prosecution's dental experts. And he said that Blum's earlier confession was a mistake, and that should not be taken into account, too, is the other thing the defense said. He claimed another man had confessed to the crime but wasn't arrested. He's doing all this in court, for fuck's sake. So he said he denied kidnapping her. He said his wife had threatened to commit suicide due to media pressure, and that's why he confessed to the kidnapping, in order to take the pressure off his wife and to get out of his cell. So, yeah, he said that there's no way he was home before 10 o'clock, well before the time of the abduction. He was fishing. Gone fishing, buddy. I don't know what to tell you.
Right.
So, when the prosecutor cross-examines Amy cross-examines Donald, he only gives yes or no answers and says he's never seen the baseball jersey. And anyone who's seen him wear it must be mistaken. Now, quickly with the tooth science, okay? All right, quickly. A forensic anthropologist testified that the bone fragments and tooth that were of a young adult female between the ages of 15 and 24 with a median age of 19.4, which I think is exactly what her fucking age was.
Fucking nailed it.
Nailed it. The anthropologist analyzed the burned skeletal remains to determine the condition of the bones before incineration. She concluded the bones had an organic component and therefore were fresh. The anthropologist also stated that the full skeleton was not in the fire pit and the cause of death could not be determined. A Duluth dentist testifies on August 27, 1991, he had placed one soft surface occlusal amalgam cavity filling in Katie's lower left second molar, tooth number 18. Remember that? Mm-hmm. The dentist testified he prepped the cavity with dropsin, a Swedish cavity lining material containing a large amount of zinc. The second Duluth dentist testified to have treated her on May 12, 1999, less than 2 weeks before the abduction. This dentist replaced the existing filling in tooth number 18 with another amalgam filling using a bonded acid etch technique and a 3M bonding product known as Rely X Arc. The dentist testified that she first used this bonding agent after receiving samples from the previous month, April 1999, from a 3M distributor at a dental convention. A 3M chemist, Jesus Christ.
This is all brand new shit, too, so not many people are going to have this.
No, that's the thing. It's all brand new. A 3M chemist who supervised the development of the Rely X Arc testified that the product was first shipped to the marketplace in March 99. That's when it didn't exist before that.
2-month-old technology.
Yup. A forensic scientist in the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension's microanalytical section testified that the tooth recovered from Blum's fire pit was consistent with a human tooth number 18 that had been treated with a dental amalgam that had been bonded to the tooth with Rely X Arc. Finally, a faculty member of the University of Minnesota School of Dentistry testified that the recovered tooth had been treated with acid etch technique. Based on the comparisons between the tooth and jawbone fragments found in the fire pit and Poyer's x-rays and medical records, the state's 2 forensic dentists testified that to a reasonable degree of medical certainty, the tooth belonged to Katie. They were based on, all of that shit that I just told you. So it's a lot. But the fact that you had to have had this put in within the last 2 months is a lot right there. And she did have that done. So, he tries to get another expert in that basically says it might not be her. I'm just saying. Might not. I'm not for nothing. It might not be her. That's all I mean right now.
What if it's somebody else, James, and he's like going hard to like try to tell. The one thing he can't say is, it's not her. I didn't burn her there. It's this other chick that I did burn there.
I killed someone else who must have had dental work recently.
You guys are wrong. Don't put me in jail for that.
They found bones everywhere. So they found bones under his trailer too.
Jeez.
They couldn't match to anything. So yeah, their dental expert says that it's a human tooth number 30, which is the lower right first molar, and said that it could not have belonged to Katie because she didn't have any filling in that tooth. So not her. And then the state's chief dental expert said the tooth was not a number 30. It is a number 18. You suck, my friend. And that was that.
You're bad at this.
You're not good at this. So approximately 2 days before the trial, after reviewing all the information the expert had, including chemical reports, even his expert changed her conclusion to a reasonable degree of medical certainty that the tooth was Katie's. Okay. So even his expert agreed that it was probably Katie's. Now, verdict comes in, and, it's pretty circumstantial, I guess. I mean, the dental shit is pretty damning, and you add it all up, it's a lot. Yeah, it's a big shit pie to dodge. It's a lot. So the verdict comes back. If you were served
shit pie, James, you could probably take a nibble of it, but this is a giant piece of it need you to eat.
It's a big Thanksgiving piece. Like, nah, Grandpa's full, and so we gave you extra.
Don't let it go to waste.
There's ice cream on it.
Starving children in Africa, or whatever the fuck they used to tell us.
Whatever they used to tell us to eat shit.
Right.
So the verdict comes in. He is found guilty of first-degree murder.
God damn it.
Thank fuck.
Yeah.
Guilty. So sentencing comes around, and he's been an asshole the whole time. He's denied it. This is our
bullshit, James.
A judge loves this type of shit. So they get to sentence him, and it's, you, sir, may certainly fuck off, life in prison.
Wow.
Eat dicks. No parole. Enjoy yourself, asshole. And he's also, it was in federal prison forever, too. Now, Amy Blum, after the trial, she says this, by the way, she was giving him a fucking alibi. Like, that's a lot. That's a lot.
She was riding hard for him, yeah.
That's clearly a lie, too. She said, now I can talk. I was afraid he was going to be acquitted, and then I'd have to be afraid of him. But now that he's convicted, I can tell the truth.
You bitch.
That's what she said. She said, now I'm not frightened.
Say that shit on the stand, Amy.
That's what I mean. On the fucking stand, say it, you fucking asshole. This is ridiculous. I'm so mad at this. Okay. I get that he's an abusive asshole and you're afraid. There's a fucking dead girl. She's dead. Not abused. Dead. Right. Dead is dead. That's it. You're protected at that point. You could have fucking said something. People testify against the fucking mafia. You couldn't have testified against this fucking scumbag in a Yankees jersey. Ridiculous. So she sent an email to 2 Minnesota legislators stating that Donald Blum had abused her for years and that she did believe he murdered Katie Poyer. She admitted that due to her state of mind at the time of the trial, she had been unable to tell the truth.
You're a fucking coward, Amy.
She said she falsely testified that he'd been home with her that night, but now she was ready to recant that testimony. She was no longer married to him and no longer under his control. She said she could tell the truth. He wasn't home that night at all. He was gone. She said that she endured Donald Blum punching and kicking her for 7 years. I believe that.
Yeah.
She felt guilty that she had allowed it and ashamed, but she felt helpless to do anything else but endure living with him. Yeah, that's terrible. I totally feel for her until she gets on a witness stand with a guy that's already been convicted federally of 19 years and 7 fucking months. He's not coming out for a long time. You're good. You can testify against him. You tried to get him off. That's what you did.
A 19-year head start. You can create a new life any fucking where in 19 years.
Yeah, and even the fact, even if he still had some control over her and she was afraid because she was abused, I get it. You're on the fucking witness stand. There's a dead girl. There's a family sobbing. Give me a fucking break. Put him away forever then. Tell the truth.
Yeah.
So anyway, I mean, at some point, I'm all for anything trauma's bad, but at some point you got to fucking sack up and you got to fucking be a person and you got to fucking do the right thing. You have to. I'm sorry. No matter how fucked up your head is, you have to.
Right, but it's more than that because She's given help. The help is there. And 19 fucking years, he's never going to be near you.
He's never coming home. That's what I mean.
You can change your name. You can do so much shit. You've been given the opportunity. Take the fucking opportunity.
He was already convicted.
Rectify it.
She felt helpless to do anything but endure living with him. She hoped one day to ask Katie's family for forgiveness, but understood if they didn't wish to hear from her. Well, at least she's got that hindsight of it where she understands it, you know. She believed that she gets that that's the important thing is Katie's family, you know. She believed that she could not have prevented what happened to Katie as she had no control over her husband. I believe that too. Sure. But if she knew he did things in the past like this, she could have turned him in and whatever. But I get it that that's not really possible. Yeah. She said that he went to the lake property frequently to fish, at the property that Katie was killed on. He told her very little, and she had not known, even before the investigation, that he'd been married twice before. She didn't know that he'd been married before. He had taken her last name to try to conceal his past, but she thought it was just a flattering gesture.
Yeah.
He just loves me so much.
Because guys that go hunting and fishing do shit like that.
Yeah, you know, they love to take their wife's names.
Real teddy bear guys that are not traditionalists.
It goes over real big down at the bait shop. The other guys are like, "Oh wow, what a sweet guy you are. That's great."
Hey, I heard you got a maiden name there.
Yeah, what's your maiden name, pussy? That's what they'd be saying to you. How many walleye you catch there, you blushing bride? She says, I now know that I was in many ways his hostage, paralyzed to speak up. Which, yes, I totally get that. I totally fucking get that. She said that the sons, two Blum's sons, affirmed the violence, describing Amy's bruises and black eyes all the time. He was beating her up all the time. He's a piece of shit. She had attributed his foul moods to bipolar disorder and had learned to behave in submissive ways that didn't provoke him. That's horrible. What a horrific nightmare of a fucking life she led.
He doesn't have a disorder. His disorder is he's an enormous piece of shit.
Yeah. Now she even says that after the police initially found human bone fragments in the fire pit, she asked Donald about them. Like, is that true?
Right.
He turned to her and said, "You're not fucking stupid, are you?" Like, yeah, obviously, of course. Yeah. To her, she said that was an incriminating statement, but she desperately wanted to believe that he was innocent. Why? So we could come out and beat the shit out of you more? Right. I get that that's the how you feel about it, but that's so sad. She now believed that her husband had committed other crimes, including other murders, and so do the authorities. Blum had led Katie easily from the store as if he'd done that before. Right. This is, you know, so they suspected now, they suspect him in multiple murders all over the place. So the reaction to the verdict here, this is a Carleton County commissioner who operates Ted's Glass Service in town. They just asked local residents. He said, everyone you're going to talk to is going to be delighted. It seems like the good guys win once in a while. So, everybody's saying that. It's like a big celebration. Another one, the Wind Tree Restaurant, some older lady says, good, and slams her fist on the table. This conniver lied his whole life, she says. Another woman who operates Arts Cafe said, quote, she felt a combination of every feeling imaginable, including lots of happiness. But she said none of that will bring Katie back, obviously. They're talking to like teenagers now. Now teenagers are all scared to work at gas stations and shit.
Of course. You should be.
Yeah, you should be. Like, parents aren't letting teenage girls take the night shift.
Good.
You know, one girl who's 17 said, quote, it shook up the community a lot, especially for kids my age, girls working alone at night. Yeah, no shit. That's fucking crazy. So
it should be a vicious piece of shit man behind the counter at 2 a.m.
Oh, just the shawarma man should be there. Yeah, what do you want? With a fucking cleaver in his hand. Yeah. What? Wearing just a wife beater with like stains on it.
You need pork rinds at 2 a.m.?
You throw money on counter from there and get the fuck out of my store. That's what they should go. No, 5 feet, stay the fuck back. I hit you with cleaver. Just angry. It's a crime and sports reference. Sorry.
Why you need sweet tarts at 2 a.m.? Fuck out of here.
Jesus Christ. Why you
pay
need?
at the
For
pump,
what?
asshole?
For why? For why you come now? So other people, though, expressed some doubt here. One person, Ron Isaacson, who works at a gas station, he said, if I were on that jury, I don't see how you couldn't convict him. He's one that believes that he did get convicted, right? Especially because he works at a gas station. He's like, I don't want to be kidnapped and raped and burned. Another one, operator of Grandma's Attic Gift Shop, which sounds like it's from the Hallmark movie we're writing. I've never doubted that he's the one. She said that I hope that he is the right one, though. He is, don't worry. So his federal lawyer, his lawyer that defended him on the federal gun charges, even said that the confession was the killer for him. He said, you got to do that. This is a lot. Then he said, and this is a terrible quote considering how it goes. Listen to this. Quote, there were a lot of little pieces that went into it.
Teeth
Come on,
and bone
bro.
fragments.
That's terrible. You can't say that. He said, I don't think there was one piece of evidence conclusive on this, but you had all these little pieces of evidence piled on top of each other. Bro, put the shovel down.
Pit? You fucking jerk. Shut up.
Put the shovel down. You're digging a burn pit. You fucking moron. Shut up.
All these teeny tiny body pieces.
Yeah, he said, from a juror's point of view, it starts to look like a mountain, I would say. So one Ramsey County judge, Kathleen Gearing, said, quote, how do you explain human remains on your property? That seemed to be pretty strong. How do you explain a human tooth on your property?
Right.
I don't have any human remains anywhere.
Betcha
I just don't. I just don't have it.
I've only been here 6 months.
You never know.
Could be. From what I understand, the guy who lived here was a real fucking nightmare, so who knows? You never know. So a local defense attorney here said that, quote, whether it's Katie Poyer's bones under his trailer or not is really not what's important. You're not supposed to have anybody's bones under your trailer. There you go.
That's the one. And the confession, nobody's going to believe that he's going to confess to something like that he didn't do. And then he said that he placed a great deal of weight in the fire pit evidence. He said, how many fire pits in northern Minnesota do you think you have to dig in to find the remains of a young woman that you're looking for? Which makes sense. The special agent in charge of the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension's Northern Minnesota Division of Investigators said that they thought from the beginning that they had enough evidence to win even without a confession. He said, when we arrested him, we felt at the time that we had the right guy. As we continued to investigate, we just became more assured that one piece fell on top of another piece. Jesus, stop saying piece. And there was really no doubt. Now, a local defense attorney disagrees. He says that this case was basically tried before it even went to trial. I saw this as nothing more than a formality, and it would be rubber stamped, and that's exactly what happened.
Okay,
so
now look into that guy's background because he's a fucking nightmare.
He's diddling people, maybe allegedly. We don't really think that.
That's an assumption. So
Blum's family, they see it a little bit differently. Yeah. They see it differently here. They said no. We think he could have been better here. His brother and one of his ex-wives both called the trial unfair.
Oh boy.
At least one of his ex-wives. Bill Pintz, who was his brother, said that he thought the jury was bombarded with evidence against Blum by the media and law enforcement authorities. Like a trial. The jury, they just kept showing him evidence. I was like, hey, let's take we'll have an art lesson or take lunch or something, but they just keep showing him all this evidence.
Felt like it was a little unfair.
Yeah, Jesus. I mean, the media, the jury's not supposed to be influenced by that, but they are supposed to be influenced by evidence. He said, you're dealt with a first impression and it stays in your mind. I don't think anyone deserves that. I don't think that anyone should be railroaded like that. Mm-hmm. Fuck off. He says, as far as he's concerned, his brother is innocent. That's what he says. He said if he was the Poyers, he would be investigating other possibilities, including that Katie is not dead. Oh, check that out. She could have just ran away from you. She's off living her life somewhere. Yeah.
19-year-old with a boyfriend and a job and goes to college.
Future.
She's just done with it all.
Visits her family 4 times a week, loves them, all very close. Everybody does anything. Never done anything crazy in her life, all this shit. But now
she's down in a tent with Jesse the Body collecting rainwater off the grid.
It was a big plan. She said she told her boyfriend, put on a Don Mattingly jersey and come pretend to abduct me, please, for the cameras, and then we're free. Right. No, that didn't happen. She said, quote, and then this asshole, William Pence, said, quote, it's not an ironclad guaranteed fact yet that she's dead. He means, what a complete asshole. Plus, he said the trial was held far too close to Moose Lake. I kind of agree with that.
Yeah, that's pretty close.
Yeah, it's a little close. He said that the Virginia, Minnesota jurors likely felt pressure from neighbors to hand down a guilty verdict. Yeah, probably. Yeah. As of Wednesday, he said he had not decided whether he would attend the sentencing hearing because he said that before the sentencing. Now, Deborah Pence, who's his first wife, 70 to 73, she said, I think he was tired and I think he was tried and convicted even before he went to trial. She said that she didn't attend the trial because she felt it would have been unsafe for her and other members of his family because everyone hated him and wanted to kill him.
She's still on board with this guy.
Oh, she's on board. She said, I just think it's very unfair. I know of his past convictions, but I think it was a very sad day for everyone involved, including his family and theirs.
Remember when you divorced him 3 years after marrying him, you asshole?
I know he's done this. She even said, I know of his past convictions, but I really think it's a bad day for not only our family, but Katie's family, too. Obviously, they're what a fucking asshole this person is. Then Bill, again, his brother, says that he sees the outcome of his brother's trial as a warning. Assholes like this love the justice system, love seeing assholes put in jail. Would that guy get busted for dealing drugs? Fuck him. He can go in jail for 20 years. But if something happens to a member of their family, all of a sudden, it's this fucking, it's the power of the government coming down upon the little people, and they turn all fucking
righteous and holy, and
all Wyoming rancher trying to say he's got, you know what I mean?
Like, yeah, the Bundys.
The fuck out of here. They all turn into that shit when it's them. It's the histrionics of this bullshit pisses me off. You know what? Fuck around and find out. That's what it is. Fuck around and find out. Yeah. You got knocked out of bounds. 4th down, bitch. Fucking get up and punt it or fucking go for the goddamn first. But don't bitch about it afterwards. This pisses me the fuck off, man. Don't say you love that shit, and this is the rules we're all playing by, and as soon as it comes down to you, because you fucked up, now it's the system. Suck a dick. How's that? How's that system of dick sucking, you asshole, Bill Pence, you fucking twat.
Free-range grazing motherfucker.
Yeah, I would like to invite Bill Pence, if he's still alive, fingers crossed he's not, if he's still fucking alive, come to our Minnesota show next year and explain yourself. I'll give you a fucking microphone on stage, and you tell me how every fucking buddy there was against you and your fucking brother. I will give you the floor. You can have 20 fucking minutes, and then you get the fuck off the stage, and we'll make fun of you for the rest of the fucking time.
Go home, Clive.
Go home, fucking cunt face. So... he says, quote, if it happens to one person, it could happen to all Americans. Now, this is what I mean. This is what they do. Because look at me. We're this. We shouldn't be. We're good. That's fuck.
Wow.
I think it's a sad thing for Americans to lose that quality in the justice system. That's our bottom line. It's a justice system. That's our bottom line, is a justice system for all.
Your brother is a predator.
He's a predator, that's fucking
for
rapist.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then he carries guns as a felon. So either way, he should be in prison for a very, very, very long time.
And if you just go to ask people on the street, hey, even without that shit, should we put this guy in prison? Right. Here's his record. They'd go, fuck, I will bury that guy in my fire pit right now. Fuck him.
Somehow the law just didn't catch up to him until now, you fucking jerk.
Yes. Then one of Katie's family members said, in some ways, Katie became public property that day. She says that Katie became a cause that brought hundreds of volunteers to search for her, got some changes in the law, and woke up a few legislators about how vulnerable we are to sexual predators. Right. And that law is Katie's law, is known as.
Really?
It's a law that it's a bill. Yeah, it's longer sentences for sex offenders and some more supervision after they're out of jail. 2006, Donald says he's ready to talk about other cases. Now he's ready. He's ready to get it off his chest. He says he's ready to offer more. In a letter he wrote to the Bloomington police sergeant, he wrote, quote, "It's time to talk."
What do you think, Bill?
He said that...
Did you change your opinion of your brother yet?
What do you think? He says he's willing to answer questions about some local unsolved homicides.
Oh.
He's ready to fucking say what he is. He's in there forever. He wanted a deal, though. He hoped in exchange for information he'd be transferred to a prison closer to his relatives. And they agreed to the deal and arranged for the transfer, and they went in to see him in the hopes of closing all these fucking cases. And when they got there, he's just being a manipulative twat. He's just a fucking scumbag. He was when they arrived with the transfer letter, the expected confession didn't happen. Instead, he was talking about other things, and he did this for 3 days. Just bullshit and went in circles.
Yeah.
And then they said, fuck you then. So, possibility of other murders. Like we said, Callie Joe, we got Hallie Spangler, Wilma Johnson, and there's more. There's fucking more. Yeah. Absolutely. The Wilma Johnson one, I was there and I saw it, but I didn't do it. Just a coincidence. Yeah. 2 horrible sex fiend offenders in the same place at the same time. Fucking disgusting, man. What a piece of shit. So anyway, he told also investigators during this whole thing that he might have killed a man near St. Paul's High Bridge as well, but I don't know where the fuck I ended up, what I did with him and shit. Like he might have went in the water, I'm not sure, and they never did find a body. But we don't know how many people he's killed. Men, women.
It's numerous.
In 2007, the Minnesota Supreme Court denied Blum's third petition for a new evidentiary hearing, claiming his confession had been coerced and that he had been improperly denied the opportunity to gather evidence demonstrating his innocence. The court decided that his claims were procedurally barred, so he had effectively run out of options, and they basically said, you can fuck off and eat dicks, and we don't give a shit about you. Currently, he was serving his time in a different state in Pennsylvania, and then he ended up being transferred back to Minnesota in 2017. So he's in a Minnesota prison.
In his 70s.
2015, the Fond du Lac Tribal and Community College Foundation announced that 2 law enforcement students currently attending their college have been awarded the Katie Poyer Law Enforcement Scholarship for 2015. This was back then they started it. There's a bunch of applicants for it, and it's a new thing they're going to do. Established to honor and remember Katie Poyer, and who was a student there, and her career goal of becoming a law enforcement officer. And scholarships are provided by the Poyer family and the Fond du Lac Tribal and Community College Foundation in memory of Katie. And so there you go. That's how Katie's living on. Wow. And what a complete and utter irredeemable piece of fucking human garbage.
Yeah. Honestly,
him,
that's
his
crazy.
Fucking brother, all of them. Fuck that whole family, man. Fuck them all.
I think I'm most shocked that that there had to be a Katie's Law in 2000. You know, in the 90s. You know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
There's certain things that when we put people in for it and we let them back out quick, they just keep doing it. And it's not robbing a convenience store. They do that too, but I mean, honestly, unless you're shooting someone, what are you getting, $60? Right. This is a teenage girl just got
It's really amazing. They're not even just the murder and disappearing of girls, but like the snatching of innocence and sexual crimes. I cannot it's baffling that shit has not been taken serious for so long.
It's fucking crazy. So that, everybody, is our story. That is Moose Lake, Minnesota. And if you enjoyed that story, by the way, I know that story's been told. They was on like 4 different TV shows like 10 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, you get a law out of something, then the case tends to get some coverage.
Plus the possibility of the other bodies. There's been a couple podcasts too that did it, but I'm like, you know what? I didn't listen or watch any of that shit. I'm like, we're doing it on our own, and hopefully we did it better than all of them, because that's how we roll, motherfuckers.
I bet you not one of them did they mention, oh, by the way, he's got a maiden name.
Maybe they did. That seems like the first thing you'd say. So anyway, if you like that, get on whatever platform you're on. Give us 5 stars. Reviews are helpful. They help drive us up the charts. ShutUpAndGiveMeMurder.com is the website. You get all of your merch there, your tickets for live shows. We will be in Brea this weekend if you're listening when this comes out. That's got tickets left. The other ones are sold out. Also, the first show in Seattle, it's a Thursday night in December. There's tickets for that one left too. Grab your tickets right now and all that good shit. Patreon.com/crime and sports. So good this week. I don't think I've ever heard Jimmie laugh that hard for that long in an hour. He's just dying laughing.
I just started giggling thinking about what they did.
It's so funny. So this $5 or above, you get access to all of our stuff, all the bonus episodes for Small Town Murder and Crime and Sports and everything like that. Crime and Sports episode this week is about the
so
first international flagship international sports television, which is something that doesn't exist. If you've never heard of that network, it's because it was just a ploy to trick criminals into coming to pick up football tickets and then be arrested by federal marshals. But the way it's done is it's unbelievable, and you have to hear it to believe it, and have to hear Jimmie's reaction to it, because that was my favorite part.
Just dragging their dicks across criminals' faces without them realizing it's a dick. It's so funny.
And they got multiple top 10 most wanted murderers out of this deal. That's how dumb they are. I'm a double winner. Hear him laugh? He loves it. I'm telling you. And then for Small Town Murders episode, we have one that I've been looking forward to. I can't wait. It's the crappy real estate report.
I can't wait.
We go to small towns, see some bad houses, and talk about them, because we love the real estate report. Patreon.com/crime and sports is where you get all of that. And of course, that's you're our people now. So you're going to get a shout out as well. Jimmie will mispronounce your name, and that'll happen in just a moment here. And you can make a donation at PayPal using our email address, crimeandsports@gmail.com. You can do that. Follow us on social media at MurderSmall on Twitter, at SmallTownPod on Facebook, at SmallTownMurder on Instagram. Jimmie, enough said. Hit me with the names of the people who would never kidnap us and burn us in their fire pit. Hit me with them right now.
This week's executive producers are Tubby T-Dubs, Shauna Ciprian, and she sent money to say happy birthday to Brenda in Texas.
Well, thank you.
Melissa
Brenda.
Turner donated twice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Twice. Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you.
Jordan Bennett, Laura she told me how to pronounce it. Baika. It's Baika. Yeah.
Okay.
And Kevin Hoydall also. Thank you guys so much for everything you do. It's really
Thank you.
It's fucking overwhelming,
so much,
truly.
Really.
Over other producers this week are Corporal Carl Kirshner, whose wife loves milk with pizza, James, and we enlightened her that is psychotic behavior. What else do you like? Ketchup on your eggs? What the fuck are you doing?
Ketchup, that's fine. Ketchup on shit eggs is fine. That works. Milk and pizza don't go together at all, ever.
Also, Christine L., Sarah Gardner, Laura Peak, happy birthday. John
I'm talking
Hughes.
Bad eggs.
Yeah, really, any eggs. I can't eat eggs. So
you can't eat any. They're all bad for you. Sorry.
John Hughes in Australia, Jess Campanella. Old Andy Pants is a process server, James, and he got called a fuckhead and then jumped in his car and put us on and felt better.
Good. I've been called a fuckhead during that many times, so I hear you.
Also, Janice Hill, Michael Billingsley, Nancy Weaver, Dylan Jones, Larry Butterfast and his beard are going to run a half marathon, and then he's coming to the Brea show, so can't wait to see you, Larry.
Run on over there, brother. See you there.
James Martyr, Liz Vasquez, Peyton Meadows, Brandon Gochel. Happy birthday, Brandon. He proposed to Brandy through us, and she said yes. So evidently we do all their communication as a couple through this show. Brandy says they don't even
know each other. They don't even know each other. They've never met.
Stephen Patterson, Chris Heyman, Chris McConville, Christine Greenison. Boy, oh boy. Cal Bruce, Melissa O'Brien, Jamie would know last name, Jennifer Harper, Aspen Welker, Dear Mr. Potter, Cian Lee probably, Dirk Nickers, Emma Berry, Alexandra Nishaw, Duncan Kreminga, Obi-Wan Jacoby, right? Haley Adair, Erica Magliochetti. These Italian names are ridiculous.
I actually I knew a girl in high school with that last name.
Was it Erica Magliochetti?
No, it was not. I know the last name, but not the first name. There's many of those.
Kathy Osler, Paul Haynes, Graydon McQuoid, Tara Plunkett, Carter Millam, River Robotham, Hollis Styron, M in the space in between, Dave Nix, Dave Alexander, Travesty Lalonde, Hannah Naxon, Stacy Liu, Ali Castellarian.
You are so...
Robin Knight, Jack Ismay, Mark Hughes. That's Jackie. I think she goes by Jack. Cody Coughlin, Tori Meadows, Lindsay Atencio.
What?
I don't know. Adam C.O. I don't know. Julie Holm, Nate Harvin, Christy Lynn, Richard Johnson. Good for you, bud. Sarah Suzabowitz. Fuck!
Going great.
Queen Usi, Sue Van Valkenburg Grice, Dominique, probably Wilkins, Karina McGee, Jace Battiston, Keanu Himalaya, Matt Lindsay, Maggie with no last name, Jason Orgel, Matthew Redden, Bailey Dalton, Sarah Templeton, Stephanie McNichols, Madison Manning, Tim Neifel, maybe, Amanda Murray, Dan C., Emily Gore, Nicholas Ochoa, Logan Bartlett, Andrew Wegger, Chance McBance. Did they really give you a rhyming name? That's brutal.
I think so.
That's so they don't make fun of you. We'll just rhyme it for them.
We'll do it together. We'll do it ourselves.
Matt Pacheco, Joe Gates, Caitlin Connor, Nicole Vanderwood, Liv with no last name, Paul Smithson, Heidi, what is this? Yali Savanto, fucking what? Coda King, Paul Connors, Reagan with no last name, Amy Schropp, Alicia Reddy, Anthony Vigil, Matthew, nope, that's Michael Carboni, you guys.
Hey, it's a Mikey Carbone. Frankie's little brother.
Victoria Erickson, Shane Drake Murphy, Daniela Smith, Heather Hashinko, Iman Clements, Amanda Dwornicki, Shelley Stike Stilkey. Oh, boy. LSS, Michael Hathaway, Mark Albrecht.
Hey.
Holly Sharping, Morgan K., Luis Amuzqua, Ashley Conkey, Doug Woodson, Sparks Black Star, Cheryl Olson, John Brady, Justin Klepacki, Katie. I've written these and I still can't. Katie
from your hand.
Simzek, Sarah Lubacher, Alexis Roosevelt, Carly Ritland, Mitchell Estes, Krista Gordon, James Pietragallo Jr., Angie Johnson, Johnny Salamino, Bumble 222, Charlotte with no last name, Shelby Wicker, Megan Pratt, Jen Patterson, Darla Luke, Caroline Zanetti DeCampos, Clint Connor, Nick with no last name, Christopher Bradley, Maureen Smith, Aaron Olin, Katie Schwann, Tiffany Mueller, Baby Horse 26, Patricia O'Brien, O'Byrne, AJ Kite, Ella Rogers, John Blaze. Oh, look at that. Aussie Amanda, Tracy Fisher, Beto with no last name, Alice Capper, Megan Allegretti, Russell Bauer, Jess Cade, Shannon Daly, Hannah Thomas, Chris Charles, Elmer Quezada, Sarah Ramadan, Pauline Matthews, Jamie Shank, Amy Ayler, yes, Alicia Elisheba Mann, Michael Moore, Karen Maroney, that's what that is, hey, Andrew Keene, Sean Harrigan, Zoe Williams, Just Another Hillbilly, Seymour Buttsex, good for you, Travis Goldsmith, Lachelle O'Neill, Shannon Marholtz, Cody Saunders, Steve Solomonson, Casey Worth, Cece Bressy, Kim with no last name, John Parseval, Andrew T, oh boy, T Killia, Tycola, Lucas Sanders, Lynn Morrison, Veter Sievers, Terry Maimoni, Taylor Peters, Jason Littlefield, Seamus with no last name, Paul Drivers, Angela with no last name, Talia, Betsida, Betsy inside you? I don't know. Emily, I'm trying to read it as an innuendo. It's not even possible. Emily also, Brooke, Debbie Buell, Katie Holt, Riley Flanagan, Jeff Cooper, Ada Whittle Williams, Sue Coy, Danielle Aker, Sean Wiedemeyer, Morgan Howard Dodd, Devin Helvis, Steve Ashby, Jessica Zumalt, Kimberly Kamas, Cody Remy, Randy Castellano, hey. Alexandra Zazdivdova, up to no good. There we go. Trisha Mitchell, Lori Stevens, Danielle Child, Sarah with no last name, Patrick Engel, Ashley Rowe, Ariana Stevenson, Jennifer Braginski, Mariah with no last name, Lisa Covey, Lindsay Balling, Jeremy Payne, Pauline Walton, Keith with no last name, Carrie with no last name, Abby Wigneraja, Dan Dewar, Gabe Rembold, Ryan Bowader, Eric Webb, Emma Harmon, Cassie Tidwell, Courtney Anderson, Kat Cronin, Marissa Dorman, Whitney Shields, and Ollie B, and obviously all of our patrons. You guys make this whole thing worth it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody, so much from the bottom of our hearts. We really do appreciate everything you do for us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Mm-hmm. We hope you enjoy this and enjoy everything that we do for you. Jimmy, what if they wanted to do something for you? How could they find you?
Oh, I'm on the internet, and we may be the only podcast that doesn't actively try to make our followership on social media look impressive.
We're terrible at that.
It's not about us. It's about you, so thank you, guys. You can find James on the internet, too. Where, James?
You can just look up the show, Small Town Murder. We're the hosts, and you can follow us, too. We don't care. We're interested in putting out a good show. I'm not a fucking social media person. I'm a goddamn comedian who's trying to put out a fucking murder show with my friend. That's what we're doing. That's that. So with that said, we'll continue to keep doing our best if you do yours, and please don't kill anybody. Jesus Christ, what a mess. Stay nice to each other out there. Truly. And until next week, it's been our pleasure.
Bye.
If you like Small Town Murder, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
He was hip-hop's biggest mogul, the man who redefined fame, fortune, and the music industry.
The first male rapper to be honored on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Sean Diddy Combs.
Diddy built an empire and lived a life most people only dream about.
Everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so.
Yeah, that's what's up.
But just as quickly as his empire rose, it came crashing down.
Today I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution.
I was up. I hit rock bottom, but I made no excuses. I'm disgusted. I'm so sorry.
Until you're wearing an orange jumpsuit, it's not real. Now it's real.
From his meteoric rise to his shocking fall from grace, from law and crime, this is the rise and fall of Diddy. Listen to the rise and fall of Diddy exclusively with Wondery Plus